We are red. Red is on.
Today is Thursday, March 1st, year 2018. The time is 4:48. Let this meeting of the Tilton Board of Selectmen now come to order. Please let the record show Ashley is not with us tonight, this evening. Let us stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, there's some bids to open. This is for the Winter Street property.
The landlocked?
The landmark, well, yes, the property with no
Unless you're in a butter.
Streets. Oh, you get the envelope? We don't need the
How do you get to them?
I think they do.
The street.
Do you want to act on this tonight, or do we want to wait for
Depends on what it is.
Ashley?
How much?
Do I read these out loud?
If it's a bid opening, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's public record, why?
I don't know.
Do you have a pen? You writing it down?
All right, well, we don't have to,
No, I
so.
don't have a pen. I have my Chromebook. I'm feeling the Google love.
Better
You want the name
you
of-
than I.
And you want the name of the person bidding?
That would be nice.
Richard and Doreen
T-Bone.
T-Bone? $350.
I have Victoria Baptisella for $325.
Stanton Noise, $580.
Woohoo! Sold.
How much is it assessed
$48 or something like
It
that.
wasn't assessed for much.
So that must be behind the house they've been rehabbing?
Yes, it kind of goes out
Okay.
west. What is it?
I make a motion we accept the $580 bid.
Second.
Discussion?
Aye.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, that was easy. That's unanimous. Motion carries.
Is there a date that has to be bid by? Sale, and then go to the next one? Or?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
It's been a practice of ours, yeah. It's always been a practice of ours to do that.
30 days.
30
Understand that the successful
Okay.
business must sign a purchase and sale agreement. Payment to be made within 30 days, in cash or certified check.
What answers that?
All right.
Might have had more fun if you had a public auction.
No, we're not even done.
There you go.
All right, Mr. Town Moderator.
For
The
landlocked?
laws change, you can also use real estate.
I mean, it's this big landlocked.
Thank you for this layout. Everybody look at the layout. Nice flow. They should grade us, grade the towns. I think we'd win. Yeah.
Do we have enough rope?
Basically, I don't think you'll see much of any changes than what we've done in the past.
It won't be okay because the stage is.
We used to put some around the center section, and if we
Yeah.
have to, what we can do is move the chairs for the observers down a little bit further, so they would be a little bit further away from the supervisors of the checklist. And if the curtain's going to be up, then we don't really need that rope on the right-hand side.
Can't we just get more rope if we need?
We could.
Rope's cheap. I'll spring for it.
when you look at this, the only thing that's a little bit different is we had originally, prior to the elections last fall, had the supervisors at one time were inside the rope, when in fact people who were not, or just outside the rope anyway, excuse me. But there's some little minor changes. We're only going to have 2 checklist books. People who will be passing out the ballots, I guess, are going to be Joyce, and I think Kathy's going to help. I know that originally we were going to have some help from Steph, but she's on the ballot, so she can't be handling ballots. So one of the things that's going to be interesting is that because we are going to have some people who are going to be candidates that are going to be on the town ballot that will be inside the rope, it's extremely imperative that anyone who's inside the rope not talk to anyone who hasn't already put their ballot in the box.
Interesting.
Because
Good
otherwise
point.
that could be taken as politicking.
Yep, good point.
Right.
And it's the same with handling the ballots. So when at the end of the evening, when we get around to counting ballots, it's going to be important that we have some people there. Like Catherine, you can't touch them. I can't.
I
Pat
can't.
can't.
I
Peter
can't.
can't.
Peter can't. Kathy can't.
Who's gonna do it?
John,
We will, I will work to get a couple of people lined up. I'm just saying, because we're going to have, it's the same thing that when I'm over by the ballot box, if there are ballots that don't go in, I shouldn't even help to adjust them, because I don't want anybody saying later I touched a ballot. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. If the floor plan looks okay with you guys, that's fine. I talked with Catherine last week. She said that she would be willing to be there most of the day and would handle the tasks of being a greeter. And if we do have to take a photo ID, then she could be the one to do that as well. She's had some experience with the camera. We have it on the left side, near the bottom. There will be a table over there with town reports and school district reports. And as you know, because of the number of boxes of those, typically they're put on the stage, and we just need to have people such as Catherine periodically who would go over and make sure that, or someone to make sure that there are enough of them on the table when people exit so they can pick one up.
I have the day after 9:30 off, so if you need me, wherever you need me, I'm available. So
After 9:30,
in the
okay.
morning, yes, I'm doing my morning run, and then I have the rest of the day off.
Do we need the tabletop voting for this election?
No.
Okay.
We don't?
no.
Have we looked at this for make sure we have the number of tables corresponding with what the school gives us and then what we bring ourselves?
For voting, I'll verify that.
Okay, because it
And
looks
I
like,
okay, on the left side over there, I think actually on this part by the stage where the ballot box is going to be, we could probably get by with 2 8-foot tables over there rather than 3. So I would put 2 times 8,
well,
or you could have 3 6s.
yeah. How many do we usually? We usually have 3.
We do,
Yeah,
usually.
why we keep it that way? Because
Because if we're going to have select people there, they usually like to sit there when they're
in the afternoon you'll have them.
In the afternoon, you're gonna have-
in the afternoon.
I think 1 8-foot table will probably suffice, don't you think so, Cindy, for the 2 ballot clerks?
8 foot
1 8-foot?
or 10 foot if they have. Do they make them in 10 foot?
I don't think
No,
so.
we have 8s, and then we have the small ones.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
And Bernie usually likes 2 8-footers. And we should have at least 1 8-footer down where people would be registering to vote. And we could do with a small table, a 6-footer or less, which would be right inside the door where the no photo IDs are if someone has to,
Did you say 6-footer there?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we usually use, there's a little table right there under the window, which is an odd
Just a small,
spot.
okay, then bring that just a small, well,
That's all.
call
Gail,
that a
did
small
you know that
table.
there's one of our little small tables, fold-ups over here under this window?
They're over there being used tonight?
No.
Little white one, isn't it?
Yeah. The little white one? Don't know where that is.
Not there anymore.
And I think for the passing out of the ballots, a 6-foot table would work. For passing out fire and school district ballots, a 6-footer should be enough.
So two.
If I'm tallying these all up, I get 2 8-footers. We're gonna have it. I'm thinking you put an 8-footer over there with the school reports, don't you think so?
That's four.
Do you need someone to pass out
Sure.
the ballots, the fire and school?
Well, right now,
Ballot.
Joyce is gonna do that, and
Oh, yeah,
and-
okay.
and Kathy has volunteered to come in.
Got it.
5, 6.
But certainly, Pat, if you want to help with that, you could do that too, because you're not on that
I'm
ballot.
not on that ballot, yeah.
And we'll put in an 8-footer over by where we're going to have a stack of those. So I see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 8-footers.
Are you gonna put 3 where we normally do with the selectmen and,
Yeah, we'll make that 3, make that 8
Yeah.
8-footers. And
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
8? You're gonna put a small one over here for table where new voters register, right? And then the little one here.
yeah, I
Do you have
have
that?
I
1,
have
2,
8
3,
eights.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 8-footers and what, a 6-footer?
A 6-footer and then a small white one.
Yeah, 1 6-footer and a
Oh,
small
what
one.
about the coffee, snacks, and water?
Yeah, that needs to be an 8-footer.
So nine.
Make that 9 8-footers.
9 8-footers.
When the veterans come in, they usually bring a bunch of them in with
Wheelchairs?
wheelchairs at one time. What would they vote for?
They normally don't participate in the town elections. If they do come in, well, we can have the condo, I call it the condo.
That would be slow though. If they bring them down on the bus, they'd be one at a time.
So should we have one tabletop voting area?
Usually, they just come for the
They just come for
presidential election
presidential.
and the primary.
Yeah, they never come into the school, for the town.
Then we're not as important as.
It might be
Yeah.
worth a phone call just to check, though.
If they are going to
But can they, no, because a lot of them need help. Using a booth.
When we get to the booth,
No,
it's too high for a...
no.
They would need the tables to vote, because most of them would be in wheelchairs.
In the 19 years I've been here.
Gail, will you check with the Veterans Home?
I agree with Cindy, but I will, yeah, they don't normally come
No.
in.
Okay, well, let's just verify.
Because she would have had to gone up and done the absentees already.
Yeah, nobody even asked for an absentee. They don't participate in the town election.
They just
And if they
stay-
do, then we can make an allowance for it.
Do you want to stick one
That's
extra
what we
8-foot table up here, just in case? Let's do that.
That's
Make it,
fine. Or a
make it-
6-footer. 6-footer's
Just a
fine.
table,
just-
bring some
Yeah.
cardboard booths, let's just be prepared. I'm sitting here going, you know what, now that we've predicted it, guess what?
Thanks, Pat.
Well, Peter and I are going to go up and campaign.
There you go, see?
Can I make a suggestion?
$5 a vote?
Ted? Is we contact the school now for next year's, so they don't have the blood drive on that day?
The blood drive is the day of setup.
Is the blood drive today?
Exactly.
This year? Is
Yeah,
it
but
the
they
blood
they
drive?
know,
They have a
they
blood drive
know
that Monday,
that
so we
town
can't set
meeting
up until after
voting
they're out of
is the
there.
second Tuesday of March. They know this.
What I'm
It's happened
suggesting
again.
is you book it now, this way they, and tell them what time we need it. Because
We did.
we have to set up late and,
And do the same, if
That's
we haven't done it
ridiculous.
already, for the fall election, the primary and the regular election.
Think
Yeah,
that they
we have
will
to have-
ignore that. I'm just saying.
No, we'll do that.
We'll do it, but
They-
if it gets ignored, don't blame us.
Gail,
they
are
don't,
you getting
they
that?
should not ignore it.
Thank you. You'll call them?
Well, we do it all electronically now.
Okay, so email them that next year, give them the date, second Tuesday.
And I'll confirm the
And
other
also
dates.
for the September and the November election,
You'll give her those
They're aware
dates?
of that, we just haven't,
What is it, second Tuesday in
but we want to
November?
get in early.
yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
them on,
Okay.
let's see, so,
That's
I'm
a-
gonna try to do this time in the interest of whatever, what seemed to work very nicely last year was we had a couple of people bring in some potluck stuff, like a crock pot or two for having lunch. So people will, instead of just the normal,
Mhm.
sweet stuff, and I'll have some fruit in the morning And coffee cake as usual. I'm trying to avoid all the heavy donuts. So if you feel like you want to bring something, whatever, we'll have a couple of crock pots over there. Okay, I think that's all I need for the, I'm assuming there's going to be at least one police officer there during the day. I don't think we're going to need more than that.
So one at all times, right?
I'd like to have one there at all times. You never know.
Chief will be in later.
Write it down just so we know.
Do you mark off the sidewalk out front, or use
Well-
chalk? Yeah, oh, you-
No, well, the other thing too that we
200
have done
feet.
in the past for the elections is that we had those extra signboards. We put one out in front, and then we had one down on the main street with an arrow pointing in. And then I think at one point, I don't know, is there a sign down at the other end of town?
There is.
There is. I don't know that if we're going to need all three of them, but at least two.
There's two of them in the maintenance room at Riverfront Park. I don't think they've been removed.
And there's still one
Next
downstairs.
to the refrigerator.
Right, the other two are in the maintenance room at
Did we
Riverfront
find
Park.
the stand-ups?
Yeah,
There
those
we
are
go.
the ones that were missing.
Those are the ones that were missing. I
They
found
were-
them at Riverfront.
Ooh,
We must have used them for the Christmas event.
okay.
and the
They never
200
came back.
The 200-foot mark.
Yeah, we need to make sure that the Public Works brings the 200-foot signs.
To mark off outside the 200-foot
Politicking.
The
limit.
signs are actually small.
So we can't go in 50 feet from the voting booth and say, vote for me. It has to be 200 feet away.
Town ordinance.
Yeah. What time are we setting up? I forgot the time.
I don't know.
I believe they won't be out until at least 3. And I believe I had some communication, I don't know who sent it to me, Joyce maybe, or Gail. It said something about might bring the stuff over early. We can give Rob a call and,
I talked to them, it was a month or so ago,
yeah, I have a vague.
and asked them if it would be all right if Public Works brought the stuff over. I think I think their blood draw ends at, I think they expect them out of there like between 3 and 3:30. The latest would be 4 o'clock, but I think we can get in there by 3:30.
I'll pick it.
But-
Will you verify? Thank you, Gail. Gail's gonna verify that. Make sure Public Works understands that they're not just dropping the stuff off and leaving. They will have to set up those booths.
They'll have to come back, And set it up. so it's going to be overtime to them.
Yeah, and that's another thing why I'm saying they shouldn't be booking. only
It's
when
their
we have an
school.
election.
It's their school. We're the guests. We can only ask. We can only ask.
So unless we send them home in the afternoon and let them come back later.
I will take this
The
thing
next morning off.
and provide you with 2 laminated copies.
This is a very
Okay.
good layout.
We'll give one to
Excellent.
Public Works.
Yep.
Keep one here in
And
the administrative office.
should I also get a copy of that and scan it to them to go along with our request form?
They don't need
Or
it,
not, they don't need to know that?
No.
Okay.
but that's a good idea.
Okay, can we move on to the deliberative session?
Go right ahead.
By the way, the Senate is still due to vote on Thursday. That was today.
No, next week.
Thursday, I
Next
guess,
Thursday.
on 4:38.
I talked to Senator Geidel last week about it.
Yeah, well, I got an email today from, anyway, the guy who's the lawyer as well as the with NHMA and also state rep, and he said that we should tell every senator we can get in touch with that it's ITL, inexpedient to legislate and to vote to kill it, because the way the Secretary of State has it worded, he wants control over any town that wants to postpone the election, rather than having local control. Also, he wants to separate the town meeting from being an event to elections and deliberative session, which is contrary to state law. It's one. Town
It is
meeting
one.
is just you adjourn, then you
Right.
Yeah, not adjourn, excuse me. You
Recess.
Postponed.
recess, and then
Right.
you open it back
Then you
up
open
on
it back
Saturday
up,
morning,
right.
so it's a single meeting. Anyway, so if you could, whatever you can do to contact Mr. Gaida? is it?
Gaida.
Senator Gaida, did you get that, what he just said, so Joyce can put that in our correspondence
Do you
to
have his
all the
contact
senators?
information?
I will email you all some more
There's a business card of
information.
his, it was down at that end of the table.
Well, I have his email.
Okay.
I do, I'm all set on that, yep.
It's a standard format.
But if you know anyone else who's a
Inexpedient
state,
to legislate, and they'll be violating state law if they try to pass it.
okay, on the warrant articles. Article 3 apparently is going to be a ballot vote. Apparently,
I don't have
the
a copy
request
of
was
mine.
for a written ballot.
Ballots, wait a minute, I don't
That's
have a
the law.
copy.
Article number 3,
Wait a minute.
Is that the keynote?
Yeah,
that's Keno.
Keno's gonna be a ballot vote,
Yep,
it has to be.
okay?
and it does not need to be open for an hour, so we'll try to get everyone through quickly. And we will make them as soon as I introduce things and get things rolling. We'll then pause and let people, we're not gonna pass out the ballots, the written, the ballots until they go up and get in line and pick one up.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as the lines seem to have dissipated, we'll go on to Article 4.
Okay.
I did get a telephone call from Mr. Davis, who said that he was one of the signees, and in his conversation with Jane, that he would be more than glad to move the article and was planning on speaking in favor of the article.
Okay.
So if you want, we can let Scott do that, or do you want, does somebody here wish to do that?
As long as it gets moved.
I was prepared to do it, but if you'd like to do it, that's fine.
I'm just glad I don't have to do it, I'm gonna make her the petition. I'm happy.
Okay, why don't I call on Scott Davis, and then I'll call on probably Jane, how's that?
Chuck, was it
Well-
Keno or was it?
Well, I'm gonna ask you that question, is it number 3 or number 4?
No, we're
Because
talking about number 4 right now.
okay,
Yeah.
oh, so I'll move number 3 to the floor?
Yep,
Okay,
Mine are numbered.
so the sewer one
So
is,
3 is
by
Keno.
Pat.
and then Scott will be number 4.
Yeah, who wants to second the Keno?
Well, whoever seconds
Will
it,
Jerry be there?
yeah, Jerry,
We don't want the town clerk seconding things.
no.
Oh,
I mean, there will be somebody else there that will,
I pay attention, if nobody seconds, I just second.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what it is, just to get it out there.
Peter will second it.
So.
If one of us
Yeah.
make the motion, someone will second it.
Why can't I second a motion?
'Cause
you can, but I'd rather not have you as at the front table doing that. You want to, you go right ahead. You
No,
go
it's
just,
okay.
you go yell.
It's okay.
All right, plan is in.
All right, so,
Just give me a
Article
card that day so I know
5.
when I'm talking.
Yeah. Is it building?
No, it's Budget Committee, reduce the number. Budget Committee, yes. Budget Committee, do you want to speak on that, or?
Who wants-
Hey,
I
who's
don't
not here
care.
tonight, Pat?
It really should be Joyce to speak to number 5.
We gotta move it, though, to the table, so let's just, I'll move it to a table, I don't care. Oh, John, your budget, move it. John's gonna do it,
Moved by John.
yep. Okay, to see if there, 6 is town-owned property
Who's
located.
gonna second?
I'll do it,
Yeah.
Pat. 2,
Okay, Article 5, that's the
the wildlife corridor,
wildlife corridor.
6, I'm confused, that's 6.
that's 6.
I'm sorry, Article 6.
Thank you, Kevin.
So that would be, you wanna take that one, Catherine? The Dodge Wakefield, move it?
If you want, we
Sure, I
can
just
have, we
don't
can
have
have
anything to-
somebody from the Conservation
Yeah,
Commission.
They
well-
don't.
John, you wanna move 6?
I got 5, I'll do 6.
Okay,
Get some stuff together. I think there was a
all right, John's got that one.
reasoning behind that.
Okay,
Oh, thank God I
I'll
found
do,
it.
I'll do 7, the police report. Police study. I'm just moving these.
I wouldn't be surprised if Roy Wakefield would also speak on number 6.
All right, so number 7.
7 is going to be moved by Pat.
Yep. The community revitalization tax, Joyce should speak on this. One of us can move it.
How about Peter?
Well, Peter's gonna do the next one.
Okay, but then I'll tell you what, we'll have
9.
Ashley. Why don't we put Ashley down
Ashley, that's a good
for
one.
number 8?
Ashley, do you have any objections?
She did, but she didn't
No.
say have any.
I'll second
I'll
it.
do it if she's too backs out.
So the next 2 are gonna be, should be Peter.
Peter?
What are they?
The highway,
Okay.
the capital reserve for highway equipment, and then the sidewalk, town roads.
That's 9 and 10.
And then we have revaluation. I don't mind doing that.
I'll do 12.
I'll do 11, you do 12?
Moved by Peter. Moved by Pat.
Okay, so John is number 12.
Get 5,
5,
6,
John.
and 12.
13,
That's the
Carpeting.
carpeting. Who wants to speak on the carpeting? I don't really care.
Joyce, huh?
I'll move it and Joyce can speak on it.
As she has to be recognized as a non,
right, it's in my rules
Yep,
that
I know you
will
got it.
allow non-residents to speak. So when,
And if they say no, I'll speak on it.
well, what I'll do is call on you as the maker of the motion, and then you can say, I would like to defer to Joyce.
Yep, that's a good one.
Okay, on number 14,
Budget committee.
That's a budget committee,
so that's going to be
probably Jane.
Jane.
Yeah. And then 15, Catherine, you don't have any ownership on these now. You're just sitting back, just
I'm just
flipping
sitting
through
there, you guys are
pages and
doing
everything.
good.
She has absolutely no ownership in any of this.
Do you think that Northfield is going to try to sell us the island?
No, they won't, they probably won't. We've put in money and money, 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 so,
I know.
oh, it's just,
I think there will be residents that would like us to
try.
take over the island because they still get to use the island.
Yes,
Only their tax dollars will no longer be spent repairing the island.
right.
So I suspect that's not going to be good.
On the other hand, wait a minute. On the other hand,
Yeah,
that's for you.
yeah,
I don't think any of the tax dollars have gone to the island for a lot of years.
a lot of years.
A lot of years.
We spend money every year on.
No, on the other side.
Northfield.
Oh,
they
Northfield,
haven't
no,
spent.
that's what I mean.
That's what
I thought,
they haven't
let that
spent.
go on.
John, do you want to?
They bought some light bulbs.
well,
Yeah, I'd speak on it.
I mean, here's the thing though.
Okay.
We haven't asked them. And when we gave them a heads up and we needed repairs, they were there.
They've stepped up
They were there.
on repairs, yeah.
So
They have been,
shame on us for not,
So Catherine, you want to speak on number 6, the wildlife corridor? You want to give any historical background?
I don't really have any.
I know, but, well, no, but it's in the Dodge name.
Well, this was my daddy, a long
I know,
time
huh?
ago.
Grandma Dodgy.
you know, I
Dad, or
I
dad.
yield permission over to Catherine for Article 6.
Either that or you
Anybody
can
else
go
object
ahead.
to that? Nobody else objects.
1 out of 20, come on.
What is number
Hey,
6?
listen, why don't you go ahead and speak
Wildlife.
and say I'd like to yield the remainder of my time.
I know a conservation person. I
To
can
the
tell you.
conservation, there you go.
Oh, this-
Helen's gonna be speaking on it, I can see the
I can
future
speak
already.
Helen's words. She speaks very eloquently.
So you'll do 6?
Yeah, I'll do whatever you want me
I
to
know
do.
this is being recorded. My only concern, and I have a concern, is that we have a real hunter. I'm hoping he doesn't get up and speak against this.
Then I'll
Then I'll speak.
Then I will speak too. Trust me, I will. Not in favor of that at all.
By the way, since our illustrious meeting of approximately 5+ years ago, when we dealt with the life safety building, and during one of those meetings, we had an attorney present. It's a suggestion and recommendation from New Hampshire Municipal Association that at town meetings, it's advisable to have an attorney there, not that we have to. Just FYI.
I think this is just a report to the body of what's taken place. I don't think it's a proposition for any building.
No, I'm
It's
just,
just- yeah.
I'm just saying, in general.
Oh, in
At
general?
town meetings, it is recommended to have.
Yes, you're right.
To have an attorney present.
But here's the thing. I don't think there's anything controversial in our.
When we've spoken with when we've spoken in the past with attorneys that have represented us on town matters, we've asked that question a couple of times, and they said it's either or. It's recommended, and if something comes up, yes, you have somebody available that could probably answer the question. However, it could also work not in your favor if you have them there and something does come up, and just the opposite. If you have them there, it could work not in your favor because of something that will come up, because they are there. So it's either or.
I just,
That was where
I
I'm just
think.
communicating
Oh,
that they've been recommending it for years. I know we haven't, and.
We usually have them there when there's something controversial, but
Usually when I have a raise.
it's, my question to you is, if a legal question should come up and no one has an answer for it, how do you move forward?
Well, the question I guess I would have there is that I would try to rule on anything that I think is reasonable within the scope of what I can do. But outside of that, if there is something which, I mean.
Point of order.
Yeah, well, on the point of order, people can ask questions. However, if you get into a legal question, and but I don't disagree when you look at the agenda for the warrant articles. I'm not sure I see anything there which is of the nature that should require legal advice, but that doesn't mean that something couldn't come up.
They could surprise us, but, so I guess what I'm looking for is could the question be, I don't want to extend town meeting. We did that once, remember?
Yeah, 3 times 1 year.
Yeah, that was.
3 meetings in 1 year.
Yeah.
I vowed I'd never do that again.
Can we have somebody on call? They can give them a call and ask them.
It's an interesting question. I'm just wondering if it was could we go forward with the thought that we would get legal counsel to see if the article is legitimate? So we could technically be theoretically making a motion pass the warrant article that because of illegality could be dismissed later on.
But usually the only people who are going to look at that would be DRA, right?
If it's a money
Sometimes, yeah, it depends.
article. But we have some here that aren't money articles.
Well, not only just money articles, DRA looks at the wording.
Yep. And they'll come up with suggested wording for all kinds of things. Oh, I put a request in today. One of the things that was suggested at the moderator training was to get some kind of a report from DRA, and that report is supposed to have a listing of all outstanding bond issues or bond articles and all kinds of things in it.
You're talking about one of our MS reports?
There's some kind of it's called the word was permanent something report, permanent file report or permanent some kind of report, and I tried to write it down when he was talking about it, and I sent an email in today and asked them for one of these reports, and supposedly it has a list of all the major financial things, and it lists the year it passed and all these things, and it's supposed to be a very comprehensive thing. And they said it would be convenient to have one of those available. And I'm sure that I'll go back and look, or maybe Tim knows what I'm talking about. But I had asked today to get a copy. I said, as town moderator, and I said, if you could email it to me as a PDF file, fine. If not, I said, send it to the town hall. So if I get that, we can make copies.
Oh, you requested that from DRA?
I did.
Very nice.
Today.
Let us know if
You
you
got
can.
my interest piqued.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I,
Tim won't be back till
Tim
Monday.
won't be until Tuesday. Oh,
Tuesday? Okay.
Monday or Tuesday? Monday? Monday.
okay. But I thought it was, when he mentioned the article and stuff, it was, I mean, the report, it included all
Sounds interesting.
really good stuff.
Yep.
So if someone had a question, when was the bond issue passed with this, the other thing, you'd have a good report from the
Wouldn't that have been nice to have been able to put that in the annual
Yeah.
financial history? Good, thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome. Anything else for the good of the town meeting?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do we have any presentations?
The only request that I had, and I haven't heard anything further, was the
We have one.
Winnisquam Lakes Association. Thought about setting up a table.
We have one. That's it.
We haven't decided.
We need to do that soon. We probably should do that after.
I was going to say it out loud. She watches
Gonna
the
do it at the beginning of the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, I
Right at
would
the
say do it at the beginning of the
Yeah.
meeting, because I don't think, too many people leave
Beginning?
Yep, right at the beginning.
right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to say it when I know it.
So,
Oh, I guess we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't talked about what we'll do, but
I guess I'm all set for this thing tonight.
good. Thank you for doing that. Thank you very much for doing that.
Well, there were actually, when you look at it, there are only 3 contested elections.
That's kind of sad, no way.
Fire commissioner, 2 people are running from Northfield for 1 school board seat, and select board, so.
Did we invite Samberton?
Did we?
Even though it's the district, the school board?
They know about it because Nina.
But they're
Gaddis,
the same night. Theirs is tonight too.
Yeah.
But the
Nina
school board.
said she couldn't stay long, so I'm gonna put her on and give her a minute or 2 at the very beginning before I go through the
Oh,
rest of
good.
it.
Okay, good.
Good.
Is hers contested?
No,
Okay.
no, but I think
But that's budget.
everyone who wants to can come up and say who they are, why they're running, or just plain say, vote for me, sit
Yeah.
down.
Is school board in Samberton's contested?
No.
Okay. Then no, budget's not.
It's on my chair.
We don't have any budget candidates, do we?
We don't have budget candidates and we don't have, well, school board is not up this year for budget candidates, right?
There should be one a year. There's
So
3
who's
for
up
me.
this year? Jane, Tim, or Brock? Jane, Tim, or Wayne?
On the list of candidates,
Yeah.
Northfield, I believe Andy
And Julie.
and Julia are both looking for 1 seat,
Right.
and everything else is
It's Tim.
uncontested.
Yeah.
Tim is up this year. Okay. For budget, uncontested. Okay.
So of course.
So this means that Seymour did not put in for
Nope.
treasurer? For fire?
No.
Nope.
Does that mean they want a treasurer?
Yeah, Tim's put in for it. Tim Pierce is put in for it.
Oh, I didn't know. I
He's the
hadn't
only
seen.
one running, right?
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
The long-term weather forecast for the 12th and 13th is a nor'easter.
On the 13th?
The 13th.
Kathy pulled.
In there.
Let me see if this will go sideways.
I laughed when I read that.
How many inches?
I don't know if that's what they're gonna send me.
Oh.
Everybody's standing up next.
A list of long-term debt.
Oh, we have that.
Piling up on this.
It's one of the MS forms.
It's gotta be a little bit more than that,
I think
though.
there is
The
more
history of it,
From what
yeah.
you described, there is more. All right.
I got there in the morning and it was dark and she didn't see it.
I guess, I don't know if that conversation, if that was in non-public, wasn't it, last week? Okay, then I guess we have to go into non-public.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you,
You're welcome
Kathy.
home, see you around 6:45.
Don't need it unless.
I need to go next door for a while.
Okay.
Oh, I'm coming with you. I'll see you all later. You got a quorum anyway, right?
I'll have a Sam Adams lager for you.
Might be a rum night.
Please, please, have one. Bring back bath bags.
We talked
Pass those
about
down,
doing that
please.
next week, so.
No,
These two.
do you have the
Where's mine?
information that was
Pass them
requested?
down, please, take one, pass them down.
Oh, take one, pass them down, okay. Got it.
The information that was requested last week, I guess it was requested in non-public, that had to do with
Plan,
the,
schedule,
the
officers, yep.
promotion.
Police, yep.
So I'm not sure if that's a non-public topic still or not.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it is if we talk about specifics.
Yep.
Do you have the information that was requested?
When we talked to.
If we're going to talk about
Yeah,
the,
Detective Buffington came up with kind of a plan to make changes in there if we did. And I sent it to the captain to review it. And I asked the captain to kind of like put everything together and get it to the board by tomorrow.
okay. Does anybody have any specific questions about the two candidates? Or is it, no, there's one, we were talking about two. For the promotion, they want to ask, because if we do, it's going to be non-public. No,
I do not.
I do not. Okay. You're going to get us the requested information for tomorrow? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
the cap, he's got the job description, the schedule, and he just got something from Nate outlining the process to replace, if we were replacing detectives.
Okay.
And so I can explain it to you if you want, or.
Well,
All right, motion to go into non-public to discuss promotion.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Bog, yes?
Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
It'll be a lot easier. This is getting,
Yeah, I'm missing something here. I need to fill in the lines here.
difficult.
Yeah.
We are red is on, time being 6 o'clock.
Sleeping red?
Sleeping bid.
Motion that
No.
we seal the minutes of the non-public as it pertain to personnel permanently.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Go ahead.
I believe, I thought it was last year, and I was against it, but we voted on giving the contract for sweeping for like 3 years or something.
We can
And
change
they go,
mine.
no. But, yeah, I was against it.
Oh, was it? I don't remember.
We did agree to go and do 3 years because it was,
Okay.
I was against it.
I would like to talk to Brock and find out what the comment is under one of them.
Comment at the bottom of the page?
No, under number 3. I'd like to know why.
Unsatisfactory, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't have copies on it.
Should be in.
Can you email John?
Here, I'll share.
Or
I looked at it.
is this from last week?
This just came out.
Change the sign.
This is new this week, I think.
It should be right
I'll be right back.
So,
there. Oh, Brock's sweeping? You didn't get it? Oh, no.
We didn't get copies.
Okay, I
No.
get this one.
Mine.
you didn't get it either?
What did it say sweeping bid?
I think it's you, Catherine, I'm not sure, because he emailed it.
Why would,
And he gave
I'll
you
go
a hard
back.
copy.
Why would he just email it to me? So, let me copy that so everybody else can. He is suggesting that we switched.
Oh, I do have,
You do have it.
You do?
yeah,
When?
it says
My copying or
that
the
came
other?
through at 10:04 a.m. just today. It says, do not let Peter
Have
see
you
it.
got it?
Probably.
I can't seem to
Oh.
open it. Hang on.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I got it now.
Will you give this to Peter? So he can look at it.
I got it. It opened up.
Peter, did you find it?
Yep. It finally came.
So it was
You're
sent
gonna get a
today?
hard copy otherwise?
That's fine.
Yeah, for some reason I thought Aroma Joe's was just coffee. I didn't know it was, you know.
Who knew?
banana shops. I know that's silly, but.
I say hot chocolate.
All right, so
Oh, we should have gotten some of that.
when you look at number one, that ends up, if you notice, comparative to number three, no trucks. Or no, we provide the trucks, we haul it away. What he's suggesting is $20 more an hour.
He needs to explain the unsatisfactory.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Not having anything alerted to us other than the Cedar Street.
In any of the minutes last year.
Yeah. I have no reason to
Last
say-
year, we discussed there was problems that he broke down a couple times and arrived late, and they couldn't, he couldn't do, because everybody's already parked at the curbs, and that happened a couple times.
Arriving late was a miscommunication on when to arrive and where to arrive. Do you remember he ended up in Northfield one time?
They've been doing this for 8 years or something.
I've been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah.
So my understanding is we have to have, when they do the catch basin cleaning, we have to have men on site.
Mm-hmm.
And is that for each one of these three?
Mhm.
Or just number one?
No.
My
No,
understanding is that...
that's for the truck and operator, basically.
I'm not talking about hauling the sand away.
No, I'm talking catch basin cleaner. That price is for the truck and the operator.
Right. And then we have a
Our-
truck, we have two people, one is a flagger and one is the operator.
And they need a spot to fill it up.
Make a noise.
What is it?
What was that?
No, the
The
music.
music
Right.
note.
I pushed it.
Yep.
So-
Every time you turn it on, it chirps.
That's annoying. So all of these will require for us to have a truck, to have two men on the site with a truck. All the catch basin cleaning guys will require us to have two men in a truck on site.
On catch basin
My
cleaning?
understanding is that's where we've done it in the
Yeah,
past, yes.
okay.
All three of them.
Yeah.
And we know this?
Well, because they're coming with the truck and the operator.
I don't
I'm
know how-
95% sure, but
But
I'm
if
not
they're coming with the
5%.
truck and the operator, why do they need us? Don't they just put the thing down there, put
We have to have
stuff
a
up, put it in
flagger.
the
They gotta
truck?
have flagger, they gotta know where to go, they've gotta, where are they gonna get the water when they need to refill?
And we can't just tell them that?
Why do we have to have a truck?
Yeah.
Why not just a pickup truck?
Yeah,
This is a
pickup,
big
no,
thing.
just
Yeah,
a
it's a
pickup.
pickup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking
No, and then,
I can understand, okay, we gotta provide them with a flag.
like a little bit of an escort
do they know where every basin is in town?
on the side of the street.
I would hope we'd have some kind of map or
That's-
diagram at this point.
You drive up the street and look.
Depends. The one at Crystal Ruby, the non-functioning one?
Yeah, I can see that one. There's one on...
You got a few around that are,
All right,
there's one
so
on
we have
Chestnut that I'm
questions,
gonna
I
see.
guess. I guess we're gonna have questions.
Yeah.
well, on the sweeping,
I was trying to get
we
there.
need explanation.
Yeah,
Sweeping, we have questions, and the catch basin, we have questions, so...
Okay, so this is gonna put it off another week.
Mhm.
This was his recommendation. He tried to expedite it. He really would like approval tonight.
He's not gonna get it.
Unfortunately, since he didn't go with the low bidder and basically gave us no information as to why the low bidder shouldn't be taken.
Well,
I mean, he's,
He's asking us to spend $20 an hour more to switch. And with no real explanation. We're guessing. We're trying to remember.
We have to answer to our taxpayers.
But
The only thing I saw was that glitch with the thing. Did he come back and Mike grab it and make good on it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Because part of that was the Cedar Street run. And yes, he did come up and do that.
He came back and made good on it, so it
Yep.
was
Absolutely.
rectified. I'll make a motion that we accept sweeping from Mike Router at $120 per hour.
You tying the catch basin in too, John, or just?
I'm just going to do that one first, Mike Rabbit Enterprise.
Second.
Which would be number 3 for sweeping.
any more discussion?
I'm not, okay.
All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Nay. Aye. Opposed. I just can't make a decision without,
I'm going to say
Knowing
opposed because
why.
I really need to, I want to know what the not recommending is. Once I know what not recommending is, then I'll make a decision on
yeah, I mean, was there,
either
I
or.
would have done the same, but without it, I've got to go with what little knowledge we have.
yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, without it, if he really wants us to make a decision tonight, if that's the case, then I would go with this.
We have been pushed into making decisions.
Mm-hmm. And I don't like
seems
it.
for a year.
Yep.
I'm not going to be. I'm sorry, I can't make a decision that he wants tonight, but it's a lack of information on his part. And maybe he's still on the learning curve, but I don't have enough information to make a correct decision. I mean, if there's something really egregious, then okay, I understand. But if there isn't, I can't justify $20 an hour more. Having said that,
What's that come out to be over the whole thing, would you say? At $20 an hour?
I don't know. That was my other question. So what is our normal?
Hours.
What does it normally cost us to do the sweeping each year?
The last couple of years, they've tightened it down a bit.
I did look that up on the internet.
I think they've cut I'm not sure if they've gone from like 3 days to 2 or 2 to 1, but they cut it back some. They were,
Yeah. So
Yeah, we cut out a couple sweepings.
So what exactly
we
is
cut out
that?
a lot of sweeping.
You know, so that's the other thing. I don't know what that $20 an hour. You know, is it $60?
Yeah, but
$100?
they come-
Two?
in the summertime, how often is Main Street done? Every
I don't
other
know.
week?
Last year was $32.70,
What was last year?
$32.70.
3,200.
What was the year before that?
Yeah, but how many hours?
Last May, we paid sweeping roads in April 19th, 20th, 23rd, and May 10th.
Okay.
So that was
Is that 4 days?
It's by the hour.
27 and a quarter. 27 and a quarter hours.
I would suspect that this year might be a little bit more hours, because we got a lot of things.
So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 days of
Part of
sweeping.
Still-
part of that's dependent on our truck and
Still,
being able to dump. Because
Why
like
we
my
clean up
neighborhood,
this-
I've got a neighbor that'll take the sand if they don't want to haul it back.
why did we clean up the state of New Hampshire sand that they spread on their road?
Which road are we referring to?
Route 3.
You've been doing it since
Downtown?
before I was on the board.
I've asked this question probably for 18 years.
I think the main thing was the trash, that they keep the trash cleaned up in the summertime. And I can tell you from somebody who was early in the morning, when I was coming down here, like 5 o'clock in the morning, and he was coming through, he was clean the street most of the time, later on in the season. At the beginning of the season, it was, wash and run in.
Well, I can see doing it once, getting the winter stuff off the road. But why do we do it all through the summer? I don't know. Anyway, All right,
We should be able to get an attachment for the multi one and do the summer stuff,
that's a good point.
It doesn't break down.
if it's, you know, not that heavy stuff.
That was the plan,
Right.
except seems this winter we've replaced the multi one with the Peterbilt.
All right,
So that motion failed?
that motion fails.
Okay.
All right, moving right along. So we have questions for him. Hopefully he'll come next week prepared.
And the questions are contract for last year
Hang on.
for
hang on.
Rabbit,
Contract for last year, what?
for Rabbit.
I want to know the cost and the number of hours. And I'll get that from Tim. Does everybody have a copy? I'll have Tim email it.
I just told you.
No, I'm not just for last year.
Oh. For
So I'll get it
previous
from
years?
Tim and have him email it to
Previous years,
everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Last
just,
5 years.
and,
Be nice to see the,
so Peter had an interesting question. Why don't we have an attachment for the multi one, and why do we do it all year round, not just the winter sand? All right, do we have any selectmen's reports? Oh, we have minutes to do tonight too.
I have selectmen report too.
Well, why don't we get to the minutes? just
Pick your
in case?
poison.
Yeah,
Let's do minutes since we're, oh, we do have two.
Yes, I was able to finish the 22nd.
Nice job. All right, let's look at February 15th, please.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. This, that really doesn't make. Selectman Constantino noted a request from the PD to purchase order a new radar for the budgeted amount of $11,0625. Captain Martin showed up and confirmed a radar recently broken, and this radar could be used as a replacement. And then did we just stop?
What happened?
No, further down on page 2,
After
radar.
confirming the radar would be compatible to replace the recently broken radar, Selectman Constantino moved, seconded by Selectman Fogg, to allow the PD to order and purchase the Stalker radar. Plus the grant for cost of, no discussion, all in favor, motion carried.
So in other words, you brought it up first, and then the captain was here, and then we went into non-public, and then it got brought up after we came back out of non-public.
Kinda just,
That was the flow of the meeting.
I know it is, but I'm just trying to figure out
I mean, I can move it.
if somebody were reading it, how you could communicate that that was the flow of the meeting.
I could say you brought up a request, and then I could put more information to follow, or a motion to follow. To be continued further.
Discussion followed. Later, whatever. And I'm just, it doesn't, if someone else were reading this in 5 years from now, I'm just wondering if, it doesn't matter to me.
It appears
really
like we
doesn't.
might have gone into non-public to discuss something to do with radar.
Wait, with the radar, and then it
Okay.
just stopped.
Okay, so.
And that's, it. I'm kind of getting that feeling that there was an issue with the radar, and therefore we went into non-public. And then when we come out of non-public, we immediately confirmed that, oh, yeah, the radar will be compatible to replace with, and that's not how the meeting kind of went. We did go in, we did talk about it, and then we did go into non-public about personnel. And we hired someone, and then we came back out, and then we talked further about the radar.
So when we put further conversation followed?
Yeah,
Later
that's
in the
good.
meeting?
Yeah, that'd be good.
In the discussion, when Brock was here, I did mention to him the problem with the lights on the island. I didn't see that in there. The lights were on the island, the timer needs to be adjusted.
I'll go back and listen.
It was towards the end when there's anything else.
Okay.
All set?
Yep.
Motion to accept the minutes as corrected of, what was it, February 15th?
Second.
All those, discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's look at the minutes of February 22nd, please.
Yeah, cast. Yeah.
Well, that requires a paragraph too, Peter, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
On the third page, highway trust fund should be all should be capitalized because it is a specific item in the Constitution.
And what paragraph, please?
Second one from the top. Second one down from the top. Did we, when I thanked everyone for coming, I invited them back for a follow-up?
Yes, remember
Mm-hmm.
Ashley had said, can we get together again? And he said mid-April, after the 10-year highway plan goes to the Senate in March.
Oh, no, so I don't remember that. So I didn't actually invite him back, Ashley did.
They were, well, I mean, I was gonna put you thanked everybody for coming, you thanked the reps for coming, but then I can put,
No, it's fine like that, I just couldn't, I don't remember inviting them back. I think it's a great
I can put
idea.
they were invited back, or.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just clarifying, like I said, I didn't remember, and now I understand, so it's fine. It gets the message out there and it's good, so let's not remember to invite him back. I mean, let's make sure we remember to invite him back.
Cape Cod, my
It's a
report,
tough.
I haven't heard anything from Bernard yet.
Oh, I thought you said that you had talked with Tony.
I sent an email.
Oh, I thought you said you had talked with Tony.
No, I emailed him, I've heard nothing.
Oh, okay.
I talked with Tony and got the matter resolved on my end.
Yeah, that was last,
Yeah,
so still waiting?
yeah.
You
So
put a
why
cell
is-
phone number out there, remember know the cell phone, no? When I've had issues, he's picked right up and,
Yeah, call him on the cell phone.
So he doesn't check his email?
He's
Steve
not
T.
alone.
Belanger at Bernard,
He may be
That's the-
work solely by cell phone, by cellular phone.
Not all open again.
I know the cell phone works okay. That's it.
That's my list of email.
I swear I'm having a moment.
This sentence, when you're talking about Keno, it said, wait a minute, should I read it? It's the sentence, and it may be me tonight, I apologize, but it says Selectman Constantino commented whether she was for or against, she voted to let the legislative body decide.
You didn't tell us how you were gonna vote, but you wanted to let the voters decide.
So Selectman
basically.
Constantino commented, it didn't matter whether I was for or against it, I wanted
The public.
the
body.
public to, the legislative body, I voted to let the legislative body decide, so.
Yes.
Pretty much what Peter said up above, when
Yeah.
Peter explained whether he was for or against, he had voted to let the voters choose.
It's almost the same. It's interesting that it's on the warrant, but that second to the last sentence, the voters should have had a chance to make the decision. They do have a chance.
Mhm.
And we didn't,
Where's that?
just, it's fine. Nice job writing though. Those minutes for that section, that was kind of interesting.
Donna has a good article in the paper today too about that.
Oh,
Isn't that what it's going to echo?
What did she get from the voters first?
Did she what?
Our meeting with the counselors?
Yep.
She
No,
wasn't here.
got Keno first.
I didn't think to call her.
I told her to take a good look at that.
I didn't, you know.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as corrected.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm still aye.
All right. So, moving right along. We have half an hour. What else do we have?
Chuck?
No.
I
I spoke with Joyce briefly. She's moving right along with the Caleb Hill Road. Moving right along, getting lots of responses and letters out and correspondence, so. That's looking good. All right, Selectmen's reports. John?
Yeah. Okay, this week will be week number 5. Week number 5, 200 week hours for employee public works, and still, nobody has fixed the lights on the island.
Yeah,
I brought it
no, I
up.
thought they had. Lee was
They're
here
on
this morning.
today. They're on today at 10 of 4. They're on 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Somebody doesn't know how to do it. Something's going wrong here. This went on all last year. We had enormous electric bills, the lights. They should be on I think half hour after dusk and maybe a couple hours before dawn, turn them off. It's a timer. It's not rocket science. And there's no reason why I should have to come in here every single week. We give a directive to fix the lights, and I've been doing this for 2 years. This is out of control. We also have a Christmas parade sign on at the Mill Park. Christmas parade. The letters are all falling off.
That's part.
Somebody
That's-
needs to
that's
keep
part-
track of this stuff. It looks
That-
horrible.
I know, that's up there because they are adhered to the sign. Public Works is supposed to take the sign down and fix it. So the reason we left them there is we're hoping that they can get them off without further damage.
Okay,
Put a
that's
piece of
blow dryer.
paper over it, or
That's the
cover
first
it
we've
up.
heard of that, Catherine, I didn't know.
I've talked to Brock.
You
But,
did?
I mean,
Brock
well,
was the plan when they put the sign up, or last year, was to bring it in and fix the sign. So we've been waiting for them to bring the sign in and fix it. They're gonna rebuild it, basically.
Okay.
what I don't
Well, that was never
understand
given
is,
to either Joyce or I, otherwise we would have immediately emailed it to them and.
No, I can't-
We ordered the new magnets.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
But I don't have electricity there to get those.
somebody can take some thumbtacks and a piece of paper and open it up and put it over it.
That's a good
There's
idea.
anything at all, but there's no reason why we should be going in March dealing with a Christmas parade sign, and that I am the only one that thinks this is a problem. Or that we have island lights that have not been controlled properly for 2 years. Am I
And we
the only-
bought a new timer
And we
last
bought
year
new timers,
in an electric box.
electric box, and this is, we need to have a directive, find out who's in charge of this, and if they can't do it, put it on their review. This is an employee issue. This is an employee issue that's not doing their job, not following through. We have a public works director that drives past the sign that says Christmas parade and lights on and doesn't do anything. So, I think they need to be noticed, to be a little bit more aware of some of these things and pay attention to it.
Questions on the lighting. Can we go to a photo cell to control it instead of a timer? So you do it on darkness level.
Those are easy to install.
And that would be something to do also for Riverfront, so you don't have to adjust it with the different seasons. It's going to do...
The riverfront is easy. I've got that to a science. I did stop early in the week, but you're right. I don't have the right key.
No, they changed the key, and
I
the
don't
only
know
one
where
that
We
it
takes
don't
it
have the
is...
key. We used to have the
Yeah.
key. We don't have the keys
So
anymore.
do we
Public
have
Works.
do we have a key
You
to that
each
box?
have a key, I thought.
Doesn't fit.
They changed it when they put the
changed
new
it?
box in. They put a new box in and they changed the lock. We don't have the key. We tried it.
I disagree with that,
Okay.
because I remember making you up a little taggy.
I'm gonna go tomorrow.
Remember?
I'm gonna go
Okay,
tomorrow.
I hope I'm wrong.
So
I hope you're
just
wrong,
hope
too.
that we can be more astute to
I'd like you to be
things
right,
around town,
actually.
such as this.
I never thought about the sign is ugly, but now that you said that out
So
loud,
Peter, what's
it
the
is
photo
ugly.
cell?
It's embarrassing.
It is ugly.
All
That's
it
a
is
real
like
easy
on all
thing.
your street lights that you see, it's a little,
Right there. I'll grab some of that
Sensor.
paper. You're absolutely right. Boom,
and
it's
all you'd have to
magnetic.
do is wire it between the,
Put tape on it.
I don't know, they're not that expensive.
I can do,
I was just gonna say,
and
I'm
behind it.
like Josh said it
Put
was
a little
cheaper to go to a
card,
photo
make
cell,
print
so the
some
whole,
says, "Welcome
everything
to Tilton."
outside
Yeah.
and a new timer.
See you
so
in the
that's what he
spring.
did.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
oh my God, we should have a sign that says that.
I was just saying.
A permanent sign.
And now it's all.
We should
photo
put it up
cell.
right
Yeah.
after the Christmas.
Yeah, you don't have to worry, it's gonna go with your seasons.
Okay.
If it gets dark enough in the day, they come on.
See you in the spring. Literally.
Do you wanna go with the photo cell?
Let's,
Let's get the timer working.
yeah, I've got 2 different timers at Riverfront Park that I set, and it's, it took
You
Tim
know,
and I an
when
hour.
I had a
one day.
key,
So you have to maintain, the photo cell takes the maintenance out
I
for
just
you.
want clarification here because we're talking about two different things here.
Let's see if we can get the timer to work.
Okay.
Number one.
How's
And
our success today?
half an hour
I didn't stop there today.
after sunset. Because
Who's gonna
sunset
keep-
is when it's starting to get dim. And 2 hours before sunrise. It doesn't have to be on till, what do you think?
An hour before sunrise.
An hour before sunrise. Goblins have all gone home or passed out.
And you want them on at dusk?
An hour, look at when sunrise or sunset is. And half hour after sunset, that's usually it's dark.
Come on up.
Come on up.
You're early.
Sorry, I'm always early.
That's okay.
Half hour after
Have some
dusk
coffee
and
and
an hour
donuts.
before sunrise.
I had dinner.
If you put sunset, you can look it up on the
Mm-hmm. I'll do that.
sunrise and sunset.
Yeah, let's stay in the 19th century,
I'll
Kathy.
definitely. You see my phone?
Yeah, the photo cell's idiot
It
proof.
still says dusk on it.
So we're gaining, what, 3 minutes a day of daylight? So that's 30 minutes in 10 days, or 90 minutes in a month? So how often do we have to go back and adjust?
I would hope that they would go up to the park at least once a week and empty the trash, and check the lights and make sure everything works. Like
You'll
once a
find
week.
you'll have to replace the photocell about once a year. I do at the house.
So we
And it's
want to,
not a-
what we want to do is go over there and make sure that the timer works. And then it's going to be more beneficial for us to go to photocell because it's cheaper. So then we're going to switch it to a photocell,
Well, let's
right?
let's see what the timer's doing. Let's see if what the problem is. Timers are not difficult. Let's find out what the problem is. We've got a new box. It's theoretically locked. Once you set the timer, it should work.
Got it.
Let's look at the timer.
Okay, let's do it.
Because I don't want to have to pay hundreds of dollars to just go to a photocell, because that's what we're going to have to pay. We're going to have to hire an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
More,
Yep. All right, let's
that's
do
it
it.
for me.
Thank you, John.
Okay, John.
No, it's fine. I'd like to know if there's more vandalism. I'm sorry. Pat, anything for...
I do. I have a couple of things. We have possible replacement for Judy Susadelis on the executive committee for the Tilton Senior Center. Sandy Plessner, she's going to put in the paperwork. Just an FYI right now, we don't have to make a decision. The other, March 24th, there's at Applebee's pancake breakfast for Senior Center fundraiser. 8
That's the school district meeting.
a.m. to 10 a.m. with the Easter Bunny.
That's school district meeting.
Yeah.
It's not, I didn't schedule it. Just trying to put it out there. It's the only day that they
I'll
could
go
really
for the
get.
pancakes.
We can go to the pancake and then go to the school district meeting.
What time does that start? Isn't it 8?
9.
9?
9.
They
We
start
can
at
all go at 8. Say hi to the Easter Bunny, have pancakes.
Bloody Mary's with them, or
Whoa,
Is it Applebee's?
sure, we can arrange it.
whatever, yeah, something.
But,
Or one of their monthly dollar drinks, those.
Chief, would you have a provider check like that?
District meeting.
okay, made me lose my train of thought. That's the way it's gonna be tonight.
Peter.
I have a letter and 3 numbers. F550. Is it in?
I was going to ask that, but I thought better of it when I was reading the minutes.
I think that's a no.
He's not here, I have not heard that it is.
Okay.
He said it was, what, a couple of weeks more? We get it in time for 2018-19,
Yeah.
winter.
Was that in
Ridiculous.
2016? Or 17?
He'll be a
Was
brand
it
new.
17?
Yeah.
17.
Was it 17?
All right. Anything else?
I'm good.
You got something?
I do?
I'm asking you if you had
Oh,
something.
no, thank you for asking. I was like, you had something?
Yeah,
No,
you do.
no, I'm good.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's eat more chocolate so we can
You got
Bob.
yeah, you got that stuff over there.
Time is now 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Chuck Mitchell. I'm the moderator in the town of Tilton. And I was asked if I would do this tonight. It's my pleasure. First thing I'd like to do is to thank Aroma Joe's, who sent over the coffee and refreshments. Tonight, we actually have 3 contested elections. There's the election for Select Board. We have 4 candidates running for 2 seats in Tilton. We have 2 people running for 1 position for Commissioner at the Fire and EMS. And we have a 3rd seat. We have 2 people running for a seat from the school board from Northfield. Due to a time constraint, I'm going to do a very slight change in order and ask Nina Gardner if she would please step forward. As I introduce each of the people tonight, I would ask you to try to do so succinctly and to try to talk a little bit about who you are and why you are running for office. Thank you very much, Nina. You want right here so you can be recorded?
Yep, thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Nina Gardner. I live in Samberton, and I'm here because I'm running for a term on the Winnisquam Regional School Board Budget Committee, where I currently serve. I should tell you a bit about myself. I moved to Tilton in 1958 when I was 12 years old, so all of you who are good with math can figure that out quickly. And I graduated from the then Tilton Northfield High School. My family ran a business in Samberton, Tico Corporation. My husband and I still own the building, and we lease it to the folks that are there. I'm seeking another term on the Budget Committee because, number one, I enjoy the work. I think I do a good job at it. And I have a background that enables me to have sort of a long-term perspective of the school district, and that is that I served on the school board for a period of 19 years. 3 terms, beginning in 1985, and ending in 1996, I believe, and then I ran again in 1999 and stayed on the school board till 10 years later. From there, I was written in to be on the Budget Committee. I didn't know that I really wanted to do it, but I have enjoyed doing it since. Because of my long-standing involvement with the school board, I really know how the district operates. I know where we've been, what we've done, the kind of issues the district has faced, and quite frankly, I know the budget very well. I know where, as they might say, the dead soldiers are buried in the various lines. I can assure you I read every single page of the budget, I read every single line, and like my good friend Lance, I don't quite calculate every page, every FICA adjustment, but I check every single line in the budget and the end lines to make sure that they are accurate. That is why I'm running. I represent Samberton, and I look forward to continuing to do that. I am unopposed in my search for the seat. And I'd be glad to answer any questions if that's the format. I'm going to ask to leave so that I could go to do the same thing in Samberton, because Samberton is having a candidates night as well. So that's why I was accommodated to speak early. And thank you, Mr. Moderator. But I can stay a brief while if you want to let people ask questions.
Anybody got a question? Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to get right to the race for the Select Board here in Tilton. As I call each name, I would ask that person to come step forward, use the microphone, tell us again why, who they are, a little bit about themselves, and why they want to run for the office of Select Board. And then I'm going to have them take a seat up here at the table in the front. I have 4 questions which I will be posing to each of the candidates. And in turn, and I'll be rotating the order, we will be going down through and getting the responses. When all 4 questions have been responded to by the 4 candidates, I will then open it up for questions from the audience. Any questions before I start? Okay, in alphabetical order, the first one is Wayne Brock.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. This is the most I've seen in a long time for someone coming to an event sponsored by the town, and it makes me proud. I have lived in Tilton all my life. I have a bachelor's degree from UNH, master's degree from Plymouth State. I have lived a full life. I have been in the military. I have been all over the world. I am currently serving on the budget committees, both at the school level and the town level. So I'm the person you get to yell at when the budget is being presented and you go, oh. The reason I'm running is I think I have a lot to offer, both in experience and education. I also believe that I have a lot to offer in negotiating some of the things that we cannot control in our budgets or in our towns. If you take a look at Belknap County, at their latest proposal for a budget, that's going to hurt down the road and things like that. One thing I did forget to mention, I'm an educator, social worker, quite life. I did education and social work at the Department of Corrections. I was one of their trained negotiators, hostage negotiators, and a mental liaison with them. I also am one of the few social workers in the state that was under Group 2. And I was also licensed by the state of New Hampshire to carry a firearm. Think about the ambiguity of that, a social worker with a gun. Because you're going to have to think about it the next year when teachers have guns. And we really need to take a look at what's going on. So that's why I'm here. I'm committed to having the best town in the area, which we now have, and to give as much information and support to the select board that is now sitting.
Thank you. Next, Pat Constantino.
Hi everyone, my name is Pat Constantino. I'm so used to talking in front of people, but tonight I'm extremely nervous. So, I've been a selectman now for 9 years. I did not grow up in Tilton. I grew up in a very small town in Atkinson, New Hampshire that bordered Haverhill, Massachusetts. I come from a family of people that were very community-oriented. They served many, many years. I still have an aunt that's 45 years in Board of Trustees and an uncle that spent 47 years in the planning and zoning conservation area. So we were a family that gave back into our community, and that's where I learned from it. At 18 years of age, I ran for the Budget Committee and won. And then shortly thereafter, I ran for selectman and had 2 terms there in Atkinson as a selectman. I was the youngest in the state of New Hampshire to hold an elected public office. That's when the age was 18, and then they moved it back up to 21. My job took me away from Atkinson and moved up to Lebanon. That's why I settled here in Tilton, because it was kind of a halfway point in between Atkinson and my job. I moved here in 1983. I lived here with my landlords, Mr. and Mrs. Albert Bosley. They stayed here, and we took care of them until they passed away, till they were about 94 and 95. My whole life, my passion is working with youth. I was a 4-H leader when I was very, very young, and elderly. So since my term here in being a selectman, we've created the Senior Center, which is thriving leaps and bounds way beyond our expectations. You know, we serve 60 to 65 seniors, population now on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have dance there. We have music on Wednesday nights that fill the hallways, and it's so beautiful to see that. We have programs throughout the day. We partner with Community Action right now to do that. We also do resourcing with a lot of our senior population throughout Tilton. You know, somebody may call and say, listen, we need some help with some type of medical equipment. That's what we do. It's been a passion of mine to help and give back, and that's what I've done. I don't generally, I don't have a huge education with huge degrees. I have an associate in human services. I worked for quite a long time with paranoid schizophrenics. My career was the telephone company, climbing telephone poles. But I give back with my heart, and I love it. I love what I do. I'd like to continue doing what I do. My biggest fear is right now that we see in the last 9 years is that I see people that, like Wayne, that have grown up in Tilton, lived their whole lives in Tilton, and raised their children in Tilton, and suddenly they become old in Tilton and they have to move away. And I'd really like to see some type of assisted living coming in Tilton. We're working very closely with someone right now that might see that happening in the next couple of years. So I'm very excited about that. So that's who I am, and that's what I do, and I enjoy tremendously what I do. I can't say that I'm smart about it. I've had some decisions that I regret, but I keep going, and I learn from everything that I do. So I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you. Next person is Peter Fogg.
Up to the table, Pat.
Thank you all for coming out. My name is Peter Fogg. I bought the house I live in Tilton in 1995. Since 1996, I've been a sewer commissioner in town. I'm finishing my first term as a selectman. I've also been involved in the Fire District Budget Committee in the past. I've been a Parks Commissioner. When my children were younger, I've been associated with the PAC 248 Cub Scouts, Tilton Northfield Little League, and the Winnisquam Regional Cal Ripken Baseball Leagues. So I try to give back to my community. My kids are grown. I've been one term as a selectman. I think I've done a fair job. I'm looking to do another term, and that's about it.
Thank you. Roy Wakefield.
I don't know how many of you now know me. You used to be everyone in town here. I'm Roy Wakefield. I grew up in Northfield. We moved here in 1956 from, dare I say it, Massachusetts. I had no choice where I was born. Is it on?
I gotta get just a little closer.
I talk rather softly. So I grew up here. In 1964, my wife and I moved to Tilton. Have been here since. I built a house up on Daniel Drive 50 years ago when it was a 2-track to my driveway. So I've got a lot invested in Tilton, our life. We raised our children here. I served 14 years on a school board, coached Little League for 9 years. While on the school board, I negotiated 3 teacher contracts. So I'm quite familiar with union negotiations. I had to back away from town service or community service. My job required traveling at least once a month, somewhere in the country or Canada or whatever. My business was across the river. I was a sales engineer with Wyman Gordon. We did aerospace castings, all the primes, all the subs. So I was traveling, selling parts, helping engineer parts. You see something flying in the sky, I've crawled all over one while it was being built. And so I have time, a few years left anyway. I'd like to start giving back to the community. Thank you.
Okay, we've got 4 questions, and I have provided the questions in advance to each of the people here. The first question is, and then, by the way, the order is going to be shifted slightly, where I'm going to have, we'll start with Pat, and then go to Peter, Roy, and Wayne in that order. And the first question is, what do you believe is the most important role of being a selectman? And so, first would be Pat.
I think the most important role for me is to listening to the residents and the taxpayers, as well as the business owners here in Tilton, taking appropriate action and following through, following up on that action. I think that's really important. Communication is key in everything that we do, no matter what it is and no matter how small we think it is. That would be key.
Thank you. Peter?
I see our role as sort of oversight. We need to make sure that all the different departments within the town hall, the public works, the PD, have what they need, but we need to differentiate between wants and needs when it comes to purchasing different things. I try to look at it, do we get our best bang for the buck? That's how I try to base my vote on things like that. Under the oversight, prior to getting into education, I've worked as a construction inspector on highway construction projects for several years. I worked for an asphalt paving contractor, so I can bring some experience regarding the highway side of things with construction, so I can add to what our public works director comes to us with different proposals.
Thank you. Roy?
The selectman is a vehicle of the people. You're here to serve the citizens of your town. My telephone will always be on. In fact, it's on now. I probably should have shut it off. And I will get you answers. And if I tell you I'll get you an answer today, I will call you before the day's over to tell you I don't have an answer yet. But you will get an answer. I will be absolutely honest with you. You will get no BS from me. And some of you who know me know that. Oversight, yeah, the selectmen have to oversee the workings of the town. But the selectmen should not be micromanaging and getting involved with the minutiae that our hired employees are hired to deal with. They do their job, they report to the selectmen. The selectmen also should be setting policy and developing a direction that the town is to head in the future. I think the town's been pretty stagnant lately as far as our direction, and I would offer some changes. I think that sums it up.
Okay, Wayne?
Yes, I was very interested in finding out what the select board actually does, since I was going to be signing up for it. And so I went to look at a site out of Concord, which is with the governmental center, and they stated that New Hampshire legislators haven't kept the separation of powers firmly in mind. In towns, powers are apportioned among the town meeting and a long list of boards and individual officials charged with certain duties. Among boards and officials, the Board of Selectmen, of course, has unique statutory powers to administer the operations of the town, including authority to manage the prudential affairs of the town. The nature of the duties encompassed in the management of the prudential affairs of the town has been considered in a number of cases. As with most state legislation, they never define what the prudential issues are. They've left that in a very vague area. My job, as a part of the select board, is to correctly interpret those powers, utilize those powers so that this town of Tilton continues to grow, falls within the guidance of the state, and provides the best, most effective and efficient services for its citizens, while maintaining a certain transparency with those citizens as to what we're doing, and assuring them that we are here to follow their rules as a legislative body and to provide oversight for that set of rules. Thank you, Chuck.
I don't believe you really responded. What do you think would be your most important role as a selectman?
My most effective role would be is to provide oversight to make sure that we are creating a system that provides for the prudential affairs of the town, making sure that that is being followed. It's also my job to make sure that we are as transparent as possible and also providing those services that the town has asked us to put forward. Always reminding ourselves and myself that ultimately I am a member of the town, but I follow the rules that the town legislature set for us. So it's my job to oversight and to create a program to manage that program.
Okay, question number 2. What is your greatest strength, and how will you use that strength as a member of the select board? And this time I'm going to start with Peter.
You are?
I am.
No, I'm talking to Pat. I'd say my number one strength is playing the role of devil's advocate. There are many times when we discuss issues that it's almost one-sided. So there'll be times where I'll pose the opposing question, and I may not even agree with the question, but get it out to discuss it. And from there, work to try to seek a resolution. Another skill I could say I have, under contract negotiation, I've worked one time as management and 2 times on the union side through the school district teacher's contract.
Thank you very much. Roy.
Well, like I said, I've served 14 years on a municipal board, the Winnisquam Regional School Board. Did 3 teacher contracts. The last 2 very amicably. The first one we had a professional negotiator. Never again. I've spent a lot of time with youth. I coached Little League for 9 years, Babe Ruth for 3 years. I've served on budget committees. I've got a lot of experience with municipal boards. I know negotiations. I can work with people. 20 years as a sales engineer, working with buyers of, name one, all types. And some of them, you quickly had to get past the buyer to the engineers because they just flat out didn't want to do business anyway. And you wind up booking business. So to quote our dear president, I'm a pretty good negotiator. And I'm reasonable. I'm a very good listener. But I also pay a lot of attention to what is not said, almost as much as what is said. And the way words are used, you got to be very cognizant of that to find out where people are really coming from. And I listen to people. There are a lot of unhappy people in Tilton, and some have real gripes. Others just like to complain. And I'm a very quick study on people. Had to be successful in sales. So I think those are my strengths.
Wayne.
Yes. For those people that know me from the budget committee, I could say my verbosity, my ability to talk a lot, which gets them crazy, my sense of humor, and my ability to ask question upon question to get to where we're going to get. And we usually get there finally, and when someone not pulling their hair out, we've got that understand. My greatest strength always comes from my old social worker days. I am willing to listen to others and objectively weigh what's being presented. I don't go into something already with a set agenda. I listen to others. I may agree, or as Lance can say, I may disagree, or John can say, I can disagree. But at the end, I will listen, I will weigh it, and then I will make a decision based upon that. Once that decision's been made, I then will express that decision, but I will support the others. If that decision is not in the favorable, I will support whatever the work product is of that decision.
Thank you. Pat?
I think everyone here had some really good points to say. I think mine would be a cross between negotiating skills, finding resolution, and a good listener. I have been on both sides, like Peter, both sides of the contract. I grew up in the phone company where I was a negotiator for the union side, and here I am in the town where I negotiate for the management side of the police contract. So you have to find a resolution, and you find a medium and figure out which way you're going. As a selectman, I think flexibility is a key. Being a chair for several years, you need to bring them all together and try to figure out what the consensus is and try to find out a resolution, and not a compromise, but a resolution. And you need to bring everybody kind of together, because if you think you're going to come into a board with a set agenda or an idea that this needs to go this way, you really shouldn't be here behind this table, because it never goes the way you think it's going to go, particularly when you have 5 people with 5 different ideas and 5 different ways of life as well. So together with my community spirit and my negotiating and my resolution, and cover that all over with the icing of listening, I think I've been able to bring everyone together and sit back and kind of listen to what happens. I do have a good read on people. I can sit back and kind of gauge where everybody is at, and I think that that's a real skill. Thank you.
Thank you. The third question. What do you perceive as the greatest need or problem that faces the town of Tilton? And how do you think, or what do you think that the select board can do to help solve this problem? And this time, I'm going to start with Roy.
I think we need full-time jobs in this town. We have all this commercial development of Route 3. Frankly, I'd rather see a power line than Route 3. But given the Northern Pass thing, that's, I guess, back up in the air. We need some small industry in this town. Now, given the new tax breaks and all, that's a huge advantage. However, energy costs in this state are just crippling for new businesses. And I'm not talking 2, 3-man operations. Companies that'll hire 20, 30, 50 people, full-time jobs with benefits, good pay. They'll be in town. They'll be coming through town when our stores are open, which may help Main Street. I don't know. Main Streets are dead all over the world country, but it's a possibility. But I think jobs are critical to this town. What we wind up with the commercial development is a concrete box that may or may not have a tenant. And it really doesn't increase your tax base that much. And other than that concrete box that you tax, there's no other benefit to the town from it, except more traffic through town. We need to preserve what little natural area is left, everything we can. We need to pressure our state reps to do something to help us attract business. We need to pressure the governor. And I don't know if that's possible, given the pathetic proposal they made to Amazon at the state level. But we need to go that far, to the governor if necessary. This area from Concord North needs business. They need manufacturing. They need small businesses. Businesses, you have to look at the businesses and know that it's one that can grow. You don't want someone here for 6 months and then gone. They've got to be good. Across the river, started out as Arwood, 1952. The owner was a jeweler in Brooklyn. Got a contract to build lame duck pins for World War I veterans through the investment cast, lost wax casting process. He started branching out, building other parts and whatnot. It became probably the premier aerospace casting foundry in North America. And they're on hard times now because, of course, the defense industry they fly one B-2 instead of, 300 B-17s. So, the number of planes is way down. I also think we need to do something for our elderly in town. We're taxing our elderly out of their homes. We have an abatement system which I think is outdated and really doesn't help very many people. I mean, a couple with a house limited to $36,000 a year income, you can't maintain a house on that. Not if you want to eat. And as you get elderly, I'm finding out, purchase your supplemental medical insurance, pay for your prescriptions, your heat. You can't do it. And I'd like to see something happen, but we've got to find a way to help our elderly stay in their homes. I've lived in my house for 50 years. I don't want to leave it. I built it myself with these hands. And I get a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that building. So that's another thing I'd like to see. That's another problem. Drugs, we all know about drugs everywhere. They're everywhere. I'll tell you, when I was on the school board, this is 30-odd years ago, in an executive session, I made a motion that we have the state police bring dogs into the high school and sniff the lockers, sniff the high school. Principals, we don't have a drug problem in the high school. Well, yes, you do have a drug problem in the high school, even back then. Well, we'll have to set this up and let people know. No, you don't let anybody know. Bring in the dogs unannounced and find out what's going on. That didn't fly. Well, things like that need to fly nowadays. I know the chief, I think the world of our chief. How we wound up with him is beyond me. Anyone that can spend 20 years, was it, downtown LA? One tough cookie. And he's seen it all, knows it all. So.
Thank you. Next, Wayne.
I was thinking about this, and I really took the no-brainer. Money, we are starting to hurt for money. And it's going to get increasingly harder to get money into our system in order to fund the necessary programs for the town of Tilton. Now, we've had some great years, some bad years. Bad years now seem to be outdoing the good years. We've cut as much as we can out of budgets. They're lean, they're mean, and there's a couple of budgets we've had prayers that if nothing goes wrong, such as an ice storm, we'll make it. If we have an ice storm, we may not make it. So we need to take a look at money. We need to take a look at alternative revenue streams coming in to the town. We need to figure out what's available, what we can use to put on the revenue side. We also need to take a look at simplifying some of the tax records. I know I get my tax bill now, and I'm looking at it, and I find out the town of Tilton I pay, school I pay, I pay this tax, this tax, this tax, and before long, although municipally we're doing really well, I've doubled and tripled my tax rate because of the other things. So I think we really need to educate, and I'm really good at educating people on what is their tax bill. A lot of people come in and pay it, and you ask them, what did you pay for the fire district tax? Oh, I don't know, I just paid it all. So we need to make them more economically, fiscally educated. Second thing is we need to be stronger in our attempts to control those outside influences, whether it be the Belknap County, whether it be other issues, from increasing our tax rates without any of our control over that. The state is the same way. The state is not actually increasing our taxes. What they're doing is taking away the benefits. They have, if you take a look over the last 2 years, they have reduced grant monies, educational monies, and we have an educational fund that is on a balance to reach 0 for 4% each year. And we can't change it. So we're losing money. So we need to pressure the state, the governor. Second thing we need to do is invite business back into the town of Tilton. Good business. Business that are factories. We have no factory work at all. Kids are learning. We don't have jobs that allow them to use their learning other than go out of state. So we need to really start looking at a task force headed by the select board in doing a small business factory look at to see what we can get for them to come in. And right now, we've heard from the federal government, all these companies are coming back. So let's do something about it. Chuck.
Pat?
Thanks, sir.
It's our energy costs.
I think the aging population, and I've spoke about this over and over and over again, but I can't tell you how serious this is in our town of Tilton. We have some really low-income housing right now for our aging population that is substandard at best. We have folks that are alone in their homes, and I think that the care that they get is substandard. There's no place to go. They rely on neighbors and friends to help out, and they have no family. I think that we owe it to them to help out. Unfunded mandates from the state. Our roads are in the worst conditions I've seen in driving down to Atkinson the other day. I still think Tilton has the worst roads of all, and they keep saying we can't fix them, we can't fix them, we can't fix them. I really believe that if we have to stomp on City Hall, we should. I believe in the heart of hearts that our police department has done their best to work out of, again, substandard conditions at the police department. They've outgrown it. It's outdated, but they do the best they can, and it would be nice in the next year or two to be able to see them in a new PD. Last but certainly not least, I think that we need to work closer with the our other entities in town, fire, school, our neighbors, Northfield, Samberton, Belmont. I think that we could work closer and unite as one and work in a collective resources to pull them together, and as a team we could work really closer and save a little bit of money. We don't seem to do that around here. We don't know what the fire department's doing, and the fire department doesn't know what the town's doing, and vice versa. And same with the school. Unless we have something really important, then we contact them, and I think that's something really missing in town. So I think that's kind of, yes, taxes are a concern. I mean, I had to go back to work this year, so Roy talks about reaching, going out there for Medicare funding, for your medical bills and things like that. I had to take a part-time job just so I could do that. repairing houses in your own home, taxes, that's a concern. So, no, all of that is what we do, and you try to do your best. So, but those are key on my radar right now, those things. Thanks. Thanks.
Peter?
The biggest problem I see is we need to restore hope to our youth. They need to find alternatives from using drugs. One good step is through the help of the chief. We brought the PEMI Youth Center into Tilton. They target certain students that could be potential problems down the road to try to put them on a right track. If we could do that on a larger scale, tie it in with what Roy said with adding some good quality jobs, we could get more of our youth to actually stay in the community they grew up in. Secondary, we need to hammer the Department of Transportation, and they need to stand up to their deals on the roads that we do winter maintenance, they do summer maintenance. We're plowing roads that haven't been ditched in years. You can talk to the fire department. We've got certain state roads that they have to creep up because they're in such horrendous shape. So those would be my two big issues.
Okay, thank you very much. The fourth question. How do we balance commercial and residential growth while maintaining our need to preserve natural resources and open space in town? And this time, I've got the order beginning with Wayne.
Thank you. This is an interesting question because it's one that we haven't thought about for a while. So, I'm a great believer in something called restorative economy, which was created by a gentleman named Paul Hawkins. What he does is takes a look at balancing the needs of the residential sections, the commercial sections, and open spaces. And what he suggests is, and I'll read you them, and then I'll continue on. He actually has, I believe, 12 different tenets that he uses. And
Can you summarize the 12?
yes, they are. No, I'm not going to. I'm just going to blurb them. Okay? Number one, weigh community values and environmental along conventional business concerns. Use renewables resources no faster than they can be renewed. Use non-renewable resources, understanding that someday a renewable substitute will be required. Seek ways to strengthen the economy without increasing the throughput, which is the...
Is this number 1 still?
No, this is number 5.
Okay, good, thank you.
Like I said, I'm going right through it.
Thank you.
Focus more on getting better, less on getting bigger. Seeks development, computers, my old fingers aren't working well tonight. Seek development that increases diversity and self-reliance, puts waste to work, regards quality of life as an essential asset. Business sometimes doesn't care of the quality of life. Considers the effect of today's decision on future generations. And considers the off-site effects of decisions. Considers the cumulative effects of a series of decisions. And finally, measures whether actions actually do what they intended to do. If we take a look and build a print or a plan based upon those 12, we will be able to create and maintain more open spaces for the future and for us right now. Tilton is doing a really good job. If you take a look at the park, or the island, and then you have the park, you have Buffalo Park, we have open areas. Route 3, let us not even talk about open areas, okay, because that's kind of collapsed in. I would say, based upon restorative economics, we can create a plan that will meet our needs. I'll use it.
Thank you. Pat?
I think one of the smartest things that we've done as selectmen has hired a town planner. He's very experienced in both the economic development and resource development and land management. He has the educational experience background. I think going forward, we need to continue to enforce the zoning in the town and make sure that the ordinances are maintained and ensured, the large lot zoning. We have to make sure that we look at preventive soil erosion and encourage more cluster developments, and continue to control our timber harvesting like we do. And also manage the snow storages.
Thank you. Peter?
I think between the town planner and our planning board, they've been proactive. It seems every year we have changes to the zoning that they propose, so that I think they're being up in the forefront in protecting the open space, but also getting development that'll help us in the long run. That's it.
Thank you. Roy?
Well, first off, we need to identify what natural resources we have, and especially what open spaces are left. The town has just blessed me with preserving a strip of land off of School Street that I was pretty concerned about. It's a wildlife corridor, and I'm just tickled to death. It's only 2.9 acres, but if you could see the trail camera pictures I've got from that, it's phenomenal. We need to identify those spaces. We also need to identify what industrial property we may have. It looks to me like West Main Street has a substantial acreage that could be developed industrially as opposed to commercially. I think we've got enough commercial development. Anyway, we need to identify wild areas and work with landowners if possible to conserve them. I think Tilton needs to back off on growth, take a step back and look at what we've got and plan on where are we going. Are we going to cover this with houses like my hometown in Winchester, Massachusetts? They tore the house down that I lived in and built 4 houses on the front lawn. It was a big house. But part of our farm in Northfield at Weathersfield Estates, where there are all those septic systems sitting right on top of the aquifer that feeds our wells, they built houses in the most impossible spots on earth there. It's wetland, most of it. But they built anyway. We've got to prevent that. We can't have people putting septic systems on aquifers, and we've got to protect those areas. So, like I say, I think we need to back off on commercial retail because they're nothing but part-time jobs. There are 11 full-time jobs at Market Basket. One of the girls that works there leaves there and goes up to Home Depot to work. I work with a young fellow at the rest area. He works 1 shift at the rest area. He has 4 part-time jobs to rent a room. And we talk about DACA, the dreamers. Well, our kids here young people have dreams too, but they're not here for them. So we've got to identify industrial and bring industry in, and yet we've got to maintain the rural quality of Tilton.
Thank you. Well, that deals with the 4 questions. And now I'm going to open it up if there's anyone here that would like to address any one particular candidate, or if you have or you'd like to make any statements, now would be the time.
You want us to use the mic?
Sure. That way you can be recorded.
I'm sure you'll hear.
That would be good. John?
Come over there. I was going to pull the mic.
Oh, John, he was going to carry the mic to you.
All right. Dennis Bain, 56 Caterpillar, Tilton. You kind of stole my thunder, Roy, on a couple of questions.
Dennis, you need to speak into the mic, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did your bees make
Y'all
it?
could hear me though, couldn't you?
Did your bees make it?
Manning. I have two major concerns. The first one, I was going to ask y'all about, actually the candidates, not the incumbents, as far as how you view your position you would view your position as a selectman for managing your full-time people, primarily just the two positions of DPW director and the chief of police. As a fire commissioner, my belief is we hired the chief to manage the fire department. We're oversight. So I agree, I was happy to hear oversight. You guys all made points there. But I'd like to know, I know your point, Roy, because you made it when you talked about your beliefs. Maybe Wayne, you could answer that.
Not a problem.
And then I'll just ask the second question, and then you guys can go with that. You guys touched upon the youth. That's the big thing I see in Tilton. We don't really have anything here to keep our kids. Once they exit the high school, they exit the town, unless they're working 4 part-time jobs to rent a room. So what are the plans for, bringing, commercial jobs in here, manufacturing jobs, or what have you, something that's a full-time job, not a retail job? I agree with you, Roy, on that. We've got enough retail in Tilton. So I'd like to know about that, because that'll answer a lot of questions. I know Peter brought up, drugs, doing something with drug control and getting counseling with kids and so forth. A lot of that, I think, will be taken care of when people are gainfully employed. We know, idle hands are the devil's workshop. So, again, your view on management, and then maybe everybody's view on what the heck we're going to do to get some business in here.
Roy, do you want to start?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with Roy, and then Wayne, and then if either of the other two wish to comment, absolutely. Go ahead, Roy.
My view is, as a selectman would be, is an overseer. We hire people to do a job. We have our town administrator, we have our police chief, we have our director of public works, we have our town planner. They have a job to do. And it's up to me to leave them alone to do their job. I'm not going to get into the minutia of their day-to-day life, their job. Weekly, whenever, I want a report. It can be in writing. I want a report of their activities, not bit by bit. I don't want the minutia. I don't have time for that. I've seen on the school board, I've seen where things work perfectly. The superintendent, the principals did their jobs. School board meetings, bang, 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 bang. Items, we got reports. We approved them, paid the bills, we set policy. And I think selectmen's job is to set policy and look at what's available, what's coming in the future for the town. Although at my age, my future's not too long here, but I want my children and grandchildren to have a future here. And so that's my idea of management. Let the people do their job.
And I'll make mine quick and easy, which is nice. I'm a great believer in the chain of command. 4 years in the military, here's the chain of command. Boom, 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 boom. When it comes to me, I better have a chief or a captain sitting there telling me what's going on. The issue is you need to give people the ability to supervise. That's the job. My job on the select board is to create a policy, look for whatever resources are there, provide oversight, and if there's an issue, the chief, the captain, and I need to discuss where we're going with this. And I addressed some of the stuff with keeping our kids here. I think that if we give them opportunities to create factories and create work that takes the talent of the STEM program, of the other programs offered at the school, then we'll start to retain students here forever. Pat and I and Jane are one of the lasting few. We've been here forever. And I will tell you, I will die here. I love Tilton, never changed. Pat?
Peter, anything you want to add? Okay. Any other questions? Statements?
Yeah, I've got one more thing I'd like to say.
Certainly, Roy.
When talking about pressuring our representatives and the governor, I also want to talk about pressuring our school system to prepare our students to enter the trades. We have the technical school in Laconia. They are bused up there and bused back, which loses them an hour a day. They're there for 2 hours. It's not enough. They need this heterogeneous classes. I don't agree with them entirely. If you've got a group of students that wants to enter the trades, they should be taught differently in a group. They don't need calculus. They're going to need trigonometry. They're going to need English literature, English composition. But they don't need the college ed courses. Not all of them. They need some of them. We need to pressure our schools to prepare kids to enter the trades. Trades pay pretty damn good money, pardon my language. And but our kids, when they leave school, they've got to have a dream. They've got to have a dream, not a part-time job at one of these stores. They can never own a home working part-time jobs. They just can't. There's nothing for them. And if we give them that dream, you're going to see the drug problem drop considerably, I think.
Chuck, could I just make one small statement?
Sure?
Nice and quick.
Okay.
Attaboy. I see two of our brave firefighters here. Welcome. I also want to thank you, because if it wasn't for you and EMS, I wouldn't be here tonight. I died in your ambulance in Canterbury, and your EMS people brought me back to life. So thank you from the bottom of what's left of my heart. To the police department, Heltzman, attaboy. Your patrols have increased, especially around times that our wonderful, bad choice-making teenagers from the high school come romping over through Cedar Street and West. They've done a real good job keeping an eye on it. So kudos to both departments. Thank you.
Yes.
Chuck.
I have a quick question, or maybe not a quick question, wait till you guys talk. Okay, you talk about doing more at the schools, yes, I know, I'm short.
Judy Tilton.
Tilton. You talk about doing more at the schools, you talk about increasing business in the area, you talk about pressuring the state to give us more money to do these things. Where's the money coming from? One at a time. Roy?
I'm not talking about pressuring the state for money. I'm talking about pressuring the state to get business up this way and not trying to locate it all in the southern part of the state.
And you mentioned schools. Where are we going to get the money to do that?
You don't need the money. You just reorganize in your schools.
Exactly.
The teachers are there. The students are there. Less students are there. And the same amount of teachers. We've got enough teachers. They haven't had a RIF yet in I don't know how many years. If your class sizes are small enough, you reorganize.
So you're going to have the math teacher teaching shop?
No.
Because they're certified in certain things. You can't
Right.
use the same.
Math teachers are not necessarily going to teach college math to these kids. They're going to teach them geometry, plain geometry perhaps. You're going to run different courses.
Let's not get into a debate here, if you
Yeah.
please.
Okay.
You
I
have to
don't know where they think the money's coming from.
reorganize, and we have to talk to the school board, and we have to work out a plan. No knee-jerk reactions. You won't get a knee-jerk reaction from me.
Thank you.
Anyone else here want to comment on that? Go ahead.
No matter what you do, no matter what you change, no matter if you buy a copier downstairs, if you change that, it's going to cost money. It is going to come from somewhere. It doesn't matter. Judy has a good point. This is what a selectman's job is all about. If you have to buy a copier for downstairs so that they can do their job, somebody has to pay for that, and it is the residents of the town of Tilton. If we have potholes that we have to fill, they're going to pay for that, no matter what. So if you take from one and put over here to bring it over to there, you're gonna need to pay for it. So you have to figure out what the priorities are and where we have to shift the money from and how, and you just don't take the money from somewhere, and please do not expect the state to try to find any monies there for you, because it's just not there. They want to push bills on you.
30,
Chuck?
30 seconds?
Peter?
Since I mentioned roads, I'll deal with that. One of the first things we need to do is to get the DOT highway maintenance funds to stay in highway maintenance. Don't put them toward courts or other bike paths. I think the state needs to look at new ways of raising funds for the roads. The gas tax, you're getting cars that are getting so much better mileage with the electric. I think they got to look at something like the excise tax and coming up with a creative way to try to recover some money that way. But that's how you're going to have to do it to do the roads and bridges. The state's neglected bridges for many years now, and it's finally biting us.
We also mentioned that there are federal monies available to take a look at. When is that going to happen in a year or two? There are federal employment monies that are coming available. There's also certain companies now that are looking to get into small towns. If you take a look at Amazon, where do they go? To build. Okay? So if you've got companies that are willing to come in, set up a showcase production area, they will foot the cost for that. We can offer tax breaks or whatever they need, but that's available. If we always have a pessimistic view of life, we're not going to grow. We'll stay mucked in the same mire that we've been for years.
John?
Yeah, I'm John Scanlon, presently a selectman at this time. One of the things about being a selectman is, there's a lot of things that you feel that passionate that you want to accomplish, but when it gets down to the nitty-gritty and somebody can't pay their taxes, or many people can't pay their taxes, how would you handle that if they get so far behind that you have to take their home away from them? How would you feel about that? The next thing, and I'm going to make it two-part, is also, and these are all personnel issues, more dealing with employees and that. Our town administrator is retiring this year. That's probably the most important office we have in town. She keeps it all together. Joyce has been fabulous, especially there's people here from Northfield who lost her to us. But you'll have to be hiring. What type of qualifications would you be looking for, or just special things that would make somebody be a good town administrator?
At this point, you got a question?
Yeah.
Is it relative to this? Because I think John is looking for an answer from each of the candidates. Let's just start at the further end and work our way down here. Peter, you want to respond to anything?
Can you reiterate, John? It's
Taking houses for taxes and so on.
okay. So with taking houses for taxes, the town has done pretty much all they could. We start usually a couple months out trying to contact the people, get them to set up some sort of program. Those that do, we sometimes will find success, but at some point you reach a point with someone and they've done nothing to show that they're going to ever pay up. And unfortunately it's a sad fact, but there's times where you're going to have to take it, because otherwise it just will never end. It's probably the toughest part of our job.
Next.
It is probably the toughest part of the job, is to take your home for taxes. I've personally, over the 9 years that I've been a selectman, worked with Cindy a couple months before tax deed time, get a list, personally knock on their doors, see what's up, what's the problem, what's the issue, come into the selectmen, come into Cindy, talk about it. We've dwindled the list down quite a bit by doing that. We make every effort. The board has reached out and made every effort not to let that happen, but when it does, I've spent sleepless nights, been sick, thrown up. It is a terrible, terrible feeling. It's one that you'll never forget. You think twice about it, and it's just a horrible feeling. You won't ever forget it, ever. When you lock that door and watch them take out their last personal belongings, and they forget a pair of glasses, and you have to unlock the door again so that it's a terrible, terrible feeling. Unequivocally the worst being a selectman. As town administrator, the answer to the town administrator?
Well, let's just hit the,
Okay,
this, and then
go
we'll
ahead.
take a quick trip back for the other one.
Chuck, I don't want
Getting pretty
to
late.
waste your time. Yeah, I echo the same feelings that have been portrayed already.
Only if you got something to add to it, Roy.
No, I don't. It's been said.
I think we all sympathize on that one. Okay, characteristics for someone who would be a good candidate to replace Joyce was, I guess, John's second one. This time we'll start Roy and go down that way.
What would I look for? Number one, a manager. A strong manager. Number two, they've got to be certainly qualified. Have the proper training and certifications. But number one, you got to have a manager.
I agree with Roy. I would add to that, we need someone who's an independent worker, who works well with people, that understands the town and the needs of the town, and is willing to work ungodly hours with ungodly people sometimes, and sitting there smiling.
I'll echo all of it. I mean, I would love to pay a lot of money to clone Joyce, but we can't do that. So, detail-oriented, works well with others, dependable, hold the criteria for town administrator, all of the duties, and a good team player.
Peter?
Hopefully a background in public administration, but to me, instead of a manager, I want a leader, someone that can lead the town and build other leaders around them within the other departments.
Jane?
Time's up, Jane, sit down.
Shoot her, please.
Jane Alden.
Time's up. Motion to adjourn.
I have two questions. Talk
Two?
a lot.
Pick one.
Yeah,
Pick one.
pick one. You talked a lot about manufacturing and bringing manufacturing into town and how that's going to help everything. I'd like to know what your plans, if you're elected, if you're elected as selectmen, are to bring manufacturing into this town. It's easy to say we need it. I mean, we need it in the state, but what are your plans and how do you propose to do that? And my second question is sort of in the same, it's on education. I've heard a lot about the education and what the school needs to do and how the school board needs to work and how things need to be rearranged. You're selectman for the town of Tilton. The school is a school district and it involves 3 towns. How would you, as a selectman in the town of Tilton, impact the school board?
I think you have a challenge in front of you. I think the answer to the first one could take hours, but we'll go with it. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Go right ahead.
Brought it up.
Yeah, how do you bring in manufacturing into Tilton?
Well, you got to identify what kind of manufacturing. We don't have rail service. We don't have an airport nearby, so none of the primes are going to come in here. You have to attract the people that build the components for the primes. The big manufacturers are basically assemblers. They purchase parts from their subcontractors. So you bring in subcontract if you can. You got to find them. Now, I got tons of experience in the aerospace business. Aerospace is a little bit iffy. I did a lot of business with GE Locomotive out in Pennsylvania. Their business is down a little bit. They were building 1,000 freight locomotives a year out there. But we have to identify them. I do have a lot of business contacts as well. A lot of them who can feed me data on what programs are where and who's apt to get them and so forth. And you let word get out that you're open for business here. We want manufacturing, whether it be advertising or whatever, which, yeah, it's going to cost a little money. We got to pressure the governor. He's been all a Twitter about bringing industry into the southern part of the state. Now, there are a lot of votes up in this area. Now, he needs to pay attention and start pushing to get business manufacturing north of Concord. And, you know, that's a threat to hang over his head. And if we got, you know, we're fortunate enough to get him here to talk to us, I think I could make him listen. I don't BS very much.
A wonderful question at 8:10 in the evening. Not bad. As we're taking a look at businesses, we need to create the ability for task forces to go out and start dealing with businesses and creating an atmosphere for them to think that we're good at what we're doing. My other question is, and I'm not quite sure what the planning board does in the town. So if I become select board, I need to be educated as to what the planning board would have and what resources they have concerning how we best go about things. The same with the state. The state has resources for us to access, to become more educated, and to create those ties with business so they come to think of us as a partner, not an enemy.
I am going to admit that this is a very, very, very difficult area. So I'm going to say I'm naive in this area. I would have to research it a little bit more. I would probably ask Roy to be on my committee. That's how I would deal with it first. But no, I'm not being funny about that at all. I'm going to admit that I have no plan, but I would research it to the nth degree. As far as working with the school is the school and the select board is the select board. I said earlier that we should work closely together, and if they ever needed anything, I'd be right there to help. But they do their job and I do my job, and so far it's worked out just fine. Thank you.
Peter?
I'd love to see us expand manufacturing in Tilton. Unfortunately, the biggest problem we face is most of those lots, if you want to develop, there is a very unreasonable cost to connect to water. So if you have a manufacturing operation that needs water, it's going to be cost prohibitive to build your building in the first place. So until we do that, that's probably the big reason why that's got so many vacant lots in it. So we've got to work to bring costs down to get the businesses to come in.
Anything else you want to talk about with regard to the school or?
The school, and I agree with Pat, separate issues, but we as a select board can be educating our citizens to what's going on. They need our votes. And if our votes aren't there, and we get enough of them, we can get people in that will think in a manner that's more effective and efficient for the town of Tilton.
As far as the school's concerned, if they need our help, we help them. We need their help. And I think they're bound to respond to that. In fact, the three towns perhaps, Northfield as well. Northfield has a ton of industrial land. I'll leave it at that.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, come right up.
Sorry, Pat.
Give us your name.
Sabrina Fail.
Speak right into the microphone.
Sabrina McPhail. Do you need to know where I live?
Well, are you a resident of Tilton?
Yes.
That works. It's good
Okay.
enough.
All right, I'm a resident of Tilton. You can do it. Okay. Is it good now?
Speak, get closer.
Yeah, you gotta get
Speak
close.
like you're kissing it.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect. So you guys keep talking about money and taxes and all that stuff. I guess this is going to be more of a statement. And how people are not being able to afford their homes, they're losing their houses, they're elderly. But we keep raising our tax rate every year. Can we, like, I don't know that this is, I don't really know how town politics work, but I feel like every year our budget goes up and up and up and up and up. And maybe a revamp on that? Is that something you guys could look at as selectmen? Don't laugh at me. Like, I don't know this stuff, but I feel like it's great to have a raise every year. It 100% is. I own my own business. It's in Northfield. I don't get a raise every year. Would I love to? Yes, but unfortunately I want people to keep coming back, so I don't know if that's maybe going to keep more elderly people in this town. I think that it's sad when elderly people can't get medicine, they can't pay their bills. It makes it sad for me. I have people who I don't even charge full price because I just feel bad. So I don't know if that might be something to look into. That is all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Have an alibi?
I-
You want to make a
I'd
quick
like to
statement?
speak to that.
Quick statement, and then I'd like to move on because we have a lot of other candidates here.
A lot.
I just wanted to address you guys, because you guys are the town's leadership team. I have seen a lot of different organizations come through here and stuff, and this is about the opioid problem that we have. And since some of that money's come out, I see all these opioid treatment places, they pop up and they offer treatments and this and that. I just completed my master's down in Boston in voc rehab counseling. So I went through all the counseling theories and practice and stuff. But one of the things that struck me is, and I also counseled a lot of soldiers over the 24 years I was in the Army. And I always noticed there's always that need behind the need. And when we look at the opioid problem, I need you guys as a leadership team, let's try to solve the problem. And my opinion is, a lot of the times, the recidivism rate for drug abuse is extremely high. Okay? And about 75% of counseling right now doesn't work. And if it's just the opioid counseling, we're not addressing the problem. Generally, in my opinion, opioid abuse is a symptom of a problem. And I think we've put all of our money into treating a symptom as opposed to treating the problem, which is the mental health aspect. So when all these people come and sit in front of the select board, if we could look at that and say, and put that question to them, it's like, how are you solving the problem as opposed to taking all the money and treating the symptom? Because that's why, I believe that the reason why the recidivism rate is so high. And it's just, but anyway, just want to make that quick statement.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I want to thank our candidates, and I'm going to go ahead and try to move on.
Thank you,
We
Chuck.
have 2 more races where we do have some competition. I'd like to get to those fairly soon. I'm going down my list of candidates for office in the town of Tilton. I don't believe Marie Mahoney is here tonight. Marie Mahoney is running for trustee of the trust funds. She is unopposed. Catherine Dawson, would you like to speak?
Sure. No, I'd like to hear the fire commissioners.
Okay, Catherine, I'm going down through the Tilton one first.
Okay.
Catherine Dawson is unopposed, running for sewer commission. We have a candidate here, Kathleen Mitchell, who is running for trustee of the supervisor of the checklist.
My name is Kathy Mitchell. I'm running for supervisor of the checklist. I had a chance to work with the supervisors in 2016 at the elections. I enjoyed the work, I enjoyed the other supervisors, so I chose to run this time. I know there's a lot to learn. I am good at computers. I am pretty organized, and I have the time because I'm retired, so I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you.
She would have my vote.
Okay, moving on very quickly to the Winnisquam School District. Kent Finnemore is running for moderator. I don't believe Kent is here. He is unopposed. Running for school board from the, by the way, I want to just reinforce the people who are not in Tilton and from Northfield and for Samberton, you will all get a chance to vote for everyone. So you don't, when you see the ballot, don't just vote for those in your own hometown. People in Tilton will vote for the people from Northfield running for school board as well as Samberton. In the town of, from Northfield, we have 2 people running for 1 seat on the school board. The first one is, name is Andy Buto. Andy, are you here? Andy is not here. Julie Petty.
Yep.
Please come right up. Speak right into the microphone.
Hi, I'm Julie Petty. I am from Northfield. I don't have a lot to say because I don't know if there's going to be questions or anything. But again, I am from Northfield. I grew up here. I graduated from Winnisquam, and I am now a parent with one girl in the district and one will be. I'm running for school board to help create a stronger ties between the school and parents like myself, to represent Northfield by speaking up appropriately, and mainly because my family has a personal interest in improving our school system. I have an understanding of the process and policies, however, I do recognize that there's always more to learn and to prove upon. I believe I would make a good addition to the board because I will speak up, I will ask questions, I will do research and have open discussions. I have my own views, experiences, and opinions, but I will always discuss and consider others. This one's really passionate to me. I think our schools can be and they should do better. Our kids are going to be sitting where we are right now, and it's vital we prepare them for the future. So please consider me when you're voting for the Northfield representative for the school board.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you. Julie Lonigan. Is Julie here? No, she's not. She is running from the town of Samberton, and she is unopposed. Tara LaChapelle, she is running unopposed, and she is running from Tilton. For the Budget Committee, Polly Fife. Polly Fife is running from the town of Northfield. She is unopposed.
This is the school board check?
Lance. Budget Committee. This is for the school district's Budget Committee. Lance from Northfield.
Hi, my name is Lance Turchin. I am from Northfield. A little bit myself. I have 3 children. I've lived in Northfield since 2001, so for 15 years. My day job, I'm a CPA with Howe, Riley & Howe. It's a CPA firm down in Manchester. So I do make the commute down every day there. But my background as a CPA certainly helps me in being the budget right there. I think one of the questions is, what do you like most about the job right there? I get right before Christmas, I get a nice 2-inch binder full of budget material. Nothing that warms an accountant's heart more than that for Christmas right there. So looking forward. I've been on the committee this is my 7th time through it right here. Looking to do 3 more years here. I'm also on the long range planning committee for the district, and that one's kind of getting near the end right there, and hoping to finish that up this time around right there. So stick through it. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Tim Pearson is running from the town of Tilton, and he is unopposed. Now, for the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS, Kent Finnemore, who is not here, is running for moderator, and he is unopposed. Stephanie Giovannucci, is she here? She is running for clerk. She is unopposed. Tim Pearson is running for the treasurer. He is unopposed. And we finally get two people running for the one position as commissioner, and I will do this in alphabetical order. First, Wayne Crowley. And Wayne is from Northfield.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wayne Crowley, and I do live in Northfield. I grew up in the Tilton area, graduated from Tilton Northfield High School back in the 60s. My parents bought their home in 1952 in Tilton, and my brother and I still own that home in Tilton with 11-room colonial and about 35 acres of land. So I have a vested interest in Tilton also, okay, as a taxpayer. But to some of the points you heard tonight, okay, when I got out of high school, I went to college and looked at opportunities for jobs, very minimal here. So I worked in the Boston area for 30 plus years and lived in southern New Hampshire at that point in time. After retiring about 10 years ago, I said, oh, I want to get back to my roots. Let's go look for a house in the Tilton Northfield area. Couldn't find anything in Tilton and wound up in Northfield. And we built in Northfield about 10 years ago. At that point in time, I decided to give back to the community, okay, because I didn't do that in southern New Hampshire because I didn't consider it my home. But I wanted to give back to the community, so I got involved with civilian government and school board. I'm currently a selectman in Northfield. I'm on the executive board for Lakes Region Planning Commission and a few other committees in town. What I'm looking to do with the fire department is to give back some of my time to that district from a perspective of somebody new on there and look at some things differently. And one of my two hot buttons is regionalization and what that can do for fire services. And by regionalization, I mean equipment, personnel, and/or services. By services, electricity, gas. We're doing a lot of that regionalization in Northfield today with the school district and with the Lakes Region Planning Communities, which is 30 other communities. So we've got our electricity bills down from 10 cents per kilowatt hour down to about 7.8. We should be able to do that with all types of departments. So we need to look at regionalization, and that's one of my hot buttons. The other one is, and I'll be honest with you, is Center Street Station. That station is antiquated, needs to be replaced. But I think before we can replace that, we need to look at how does regionalization come into play. And I want to concentrate on those two things as we go forward. So I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Any questions? I'll take them.
I do. You're talking about regionalization, and Wayne and I were on the facilities committee together. So we're looking at regionalization. The towns that are involved, they do not want to become one.
Yeah, I know.
So it's basically going to stay as a mutual aid system as we have it. But there are other benefits as far as responses to emergencies and things of that nature. Fuel and things, okay, that's good with that. I guess my biggest question to you is the building. Your plans for the building, and it does tie into regionalization, because regionalization, I just think is slowing the process down a little bit, because if we're going to wait as a district for other towns to come in to say, hey, we want to do something with buildings, which at this point they've already said no. So we still have a committee where we're going to work closely together. But regionalization is, as far as infrastructure, that is a long, long time down the road, and that's going to put out Center Street for a long time. And as far as the Center Street building goes, do you believe we should build to the price or the dollar, or should we build to the need? And on that, we have a warrant that's out looking for $130,000, that's what we're putting forth at the district meeting this year, for the design, permitting fees, and so forth, which is really dead in the water as we speak right now, because we no longer have the land available to us. the land is off the table. So I'm thinking we're gonna need probably a land search committee. So I know this is a long-winded question, so let's go back to, do you believe we should go with the dollar amount, or should we build to the needs? We spent 2 years establishing needs, and it seems like it's come down to, we're gonna build to the dollar, which if we're not gonna build to the needs, me personally, I think we're throwing, good money after bad.
I think you have a multi-part question, okay? And let's take it backwards. From the perspective of what do we need for a fire station, and I use that word need, we should build what we need, okay? We have to keep in mind what that does to taxes and how we pay for it. But we definitely should build to a need, and not to a $1 million price tag, okay, or a $5 million price tag. It should be by need. Now, the definition of need, okay, needs some detail, but it should be to need. Relative to regionalization, if there's been exploration of regionalization that has said, hey, nobody wants to regionalize around here, then let's put it to bed and let's move forward and say, hey, we're not going to regionalize. Okay, maybe we regionalize on a use of a monstrous ladder truck, but that's it. But we need to put that to bed and move on, to your point, and find out what do we need for a station, where are we going to go build it, and build it.
Thank you. Eric, you didn't get a chance to come up, but do you want to address anything that's been said here? Come right up. I didn't want to remove you from responding. If you want to do it, would you like to give your introduction first, or what?
No, go ahead.
Go right ahead, and then if you want to respond, go ahead.
There's a lot more people back here than I didn't realize. Anyways, my name's Eric Pyra. I am a resident of the town of Tilton. I moved here in 2001, and I moved here from the southern part of the state, the fine city of Nashua, but I grew up in Massachusetts, and I technically was born in New Jersey. I don't tell many people that, but we moved to Massachusetts when I was three months old, and life is a bunch of parallels sometimes. And we moved my family here when my oldest daughter was 3 months old, and to continue that twist, she babysits for the Turgeons, and his wife was my daughter's kindergarten teacher. So there's a lot of small town intricacies at play here. I've worked here in the Lakes region pretty much since 2001. When I first moved here, I was commuting from Nashua to Laconia, and then we moved here, so I didn't have a long commute, and then I wound up working for 11 years up in the White Mountains, and I had 11 traffic jams in 11 years, so it's not too bad. And for the last 4 years, I managed the sports center in town. I left there last year on principle, based on what was going on there. And now I currently work for a local landscape company as an account manager. So life has thrown me a few curveballs along the way, but you take those and go with it. I currently serve on the Tilton Planning Board, which I served since 2012, I believe. I've also been on the Budget Committee. I'm also an alternate on the Zoning Board here in town. I'm also on the Police Building Study Committee, too. I'm the vice chairman of that committee as well. Why do I want to be on the fire commission? We have a lot of challenges coming here to the town, into the fire district as a whole. There's a lot of things going on in the district that I think need to be addressed. We have a rapidly growing department where they're responding to more and more calls every year, and they're staffed according to that, but we have to look to the future and look at possibly adding more staff to that to cover those calls, because unfortunately calls are not going down, they're going up year and year. And we've all talked about, everyone on the selectmen talked about bringing in manufacturing, bringing in other things. Well, all those things are going to be a burden on the services that we provide to the residents, so you have to address those things. There was a proposal, it looks like it's tabled now at the Spalding Youth Center, but it looked like about 1 million square feet. I mean, that's going to be services that we have to look at, and you have to plan for that. So you talked a little bit about need with the future of the fire station. So you have to do need, you have to try to be conscious of the budget, but you have to plan for the future. The town that my parents grew up in, their fire department, They put a Band-Aid on it that was supposed to be 20 years. It wound up being 10 years, and they put a new fire station in, and it went up. They waited 1 year, and it went up $2 million. Granted, it's a much bigger station, but it went from $12 million to $14 million, and the residents have to pay for that. So the sooner we address the needs and the future of the department, then we can start coming up with a plan to get there quicker than later. Because every time we wait, it's going to get more and more expensive out of our pockets, and to do that.
Would you like to address what Mr. Manning had brought up?
I have a refresher.
He was talking about regionalization.
Oh, yes. Boy, I gotta remember all that I started out. Generally, what are your views as far as budgeting for the fire department or the fire station to replace Center Street? Would you build to the need, or are you building, or is your primary focus the tax effect?
Well, kind of as Mr. Crowley kind of touched on, you have to do both. You have to do for the need, but you also have to be a little bit conscious of that. You can't just go build a $20 million fire station because we can't afford it. So you have to, reach that fine balance of addressing the need of the fire department, the future of the fire department. But you also have to look in the future. Right now, about 25% of the calls are multiple calls at the same time. So it's where is that equipment going to be? So you have to address all those things to do that, because you want to get the equipment to the emergencies as fast as possible, so people aren't waiting. So you really have to. It's a fun dance that's going to be enjoyed by the commission in the future, and I would like to be part of that. The regionalization, I'm not 100% briefed on the regionalization. I see pros and cons to it, but from what I've heard, I don't think anyone wants that. But you have to look at other services, maybe combining some of the different needs that people buy. Buying power, you can always buy in numbers. So maybe that we're not one fire department, but we combine our buying power to help save the taxpayers money.
Yes, sir, in the back.
Mark Hebert from Northfield. Kind of a question for both candidates. You're both stating the need, and we all know of the shambles that the Center Street Station's in. Touched on the part where the land's no longer there. What about the other station that seems to be forgotten in the neighboring town? There's land there for expansion up and wide. What are your thoughts? Is that good, bad? Have at it.
Sure. I'll take this one first. It's a delicate question. That station, I believe, was built in the mid-1980s. So you're going to be adding on to do that. So sometimes, you wouldn't take a 1985 Buick and make that nice and new. Sometimes starting from scratch is the best way to go. If it's tearing down that station and building a brand new station, that's something that you have to look at. The other side of that, I just had a thought and it went that way, is just addressing the needs, but response time. If that station is over there, what does that do to the response time? Currently, most of the responses, I believe, go towards the exit 20 area. So how much time does that go to? And so that's something that has to be examined. But if there's the proposed project in Northfield goes on, well, and there's going to be a lot of calls there, then maybe that makes sense to go there. So you have to look at the future developments of both Tilton and Northfield of the district to see where it makes the most sense to put that station.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Very quickly, I was on that study committee that looked at where and what a new fire station should consist of. And it took 1.5 to 2 years to do that. And we looked at the Park Street Station. And I live in Northfield, so I'm trying to represent the district. And the determination of that committee was, it's not in the right physical location for response times. It just will not service the village district, nor exit 20 in a timely manner that it is response times that are there today. So it's not viable for that. What you could do is put a substation somewhere else. You could put your anchor station at Park Street and then put a substation, closer up on exit 20, somewhere between 20 and Lockmere, okay, that would share that. That adds $250,000 of expense, of operational expense. So that's what has to be weighed and Park Street Station was not designed to house people. So it needs some major renovation to house firefighters. It was designed as a garage, and it serves very well as a garage, but not as a station to house people.
I kind of
Yes, sir, go right ahead.
ask another based on answers
Sir,
I received.
go right ahead.
You're both stating the fact that it's not serving a purpose for the response times towards the exit 20 corridor. So, are you more leaning towards something over there to help, or so the taxpayers are helping the response time for the influx of non-tax-paying calls? Because currently where I live, Franklin is going to beat Northfield to my house from right here. So you move over there, Concord will probably beat Northfield because now they got to come back through. So are you asking taxpayers to foot the bill for the Massachusetts people coming up to exit 20 causing accidents? Is that more your view on it, or was the study?
What the study committee, okay, determined and came out as a result was that Center Street, or very close to Center Street Station, is an ideal location for the majority of the calls that are there today. So if we could replicate Center Street Station where it is, it would be excellent. Problem is, that's a very poor location, there's not enough land there to do that, blah, blah, blah. So we had another site, and I just found out tonight, the first time I heard it, that this other site was off the table now, which was extremely close to Center Street and would be an excellent place for a one-station, one-manned station for the fire district. At some point in time, be it 10, 15, 25 years from now, we're going to have substations somewhere up beyond exit 20 and somewhere down in Northfield. And that's a dilemma we're in. Do we build a central station today at $4 or $5 million and then 10, 20 years from now have to put in a couple substations because of meeting the response times? Now, I live way the hell down on Shaw Road, close to the Canterbury line. And to your point, okay, to get there from Center Street takes a lot of time. It takes 9 to 10 minutes. That's a problem. But we have one station today that's manned. So that's all going to be looked at before we go spend money to build a fire station. I agree.
Eric, did you wish to respond? And then we have one more question coming.
Response time, there's a lot of projects going forward here in Tilton and in Northfield. One of them, addressing the location of the station, but you also have to look at the future. There was a conceptual proposal brought before the planning board that would be 200 RV campsites, possibly, and that that would shift possibly more calls going towards, is that the east side of town? The east side of town. So doesn't make sense to have a substation over there or looking at something in the future. You have to constantly look at to develop it, but you have to be a little bit more proactive than just building. You have to have a station. You have to do it, and we have to make the best guess with the information that we have at that time, and that's the best information that we have. But you also have Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid, which helps determine who's going to respond to that call. When I lived in Nashua, and I lived in an apartment building, the fire alarm would go off because someone was burning toast. The Merrimack Fire Department got there first. It was still Nashua, but the Merrimack Fire Department got first because the dispatch determined that they were the first ones that should go to that call. So that's why you have Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. They help determine who's going to respond to that call and get there the quickest. If it's going to be Franklin, it's going to be Franklin, but they all work well together. That's the nice thing about our fire departments here. All these guys work together, they train together, and it creates that unity, and so they respond and work. So it's transparent. I'm fortunate. I live, half a mile this way. So, if I have to call 911, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get that. But when I worked here in town, I had to have Laconia respond. You know, but I didn't make that determination. Lake Jersey Mutual Fire Aid made that determination.
Don't go away.
I just wanted to make the comment that the fire protection is needed on the other side of 93, not for Massachusetts drivers, but for a whole lot of Tilton residents who live all the way up to Mosquito Bridge and beyond in the back area toward Bristol. So let's not just say it's people from Massachusetts.
I didn't say it was from
No,
people.
I'm not saying
Okay.
it to you. I'm just making a statement. I want
It's
to
not.
correct.
Residents are, you know, all the way out to Mosquito Bridge. Actually, when I went to work this morning, there was a fire truck. I don't know the name of it, the old Flintstone Trading Post, there's a fire truck there, so I don't know what it was for, but it was there.
Roy? Nice and loud. Nice and loud.
You can't build a station that will give you coverage within 5 minutes to every point in town. In
Correct.
2 towns. It's not possible.
Oh,
So you need one on the other side of 93. I agree. Probably a substation, maybe a manned substation. But it needs to be farther up that it can cover the Lockmeyer, Winnisquam end of it. Have you guys done any work with Sandwichton, Belmont again, after the Winnisquam Fire Department debacle?
I'm not familiar with what they've discussed between those, you know, that, I know it's come up every now and then.
Wayne knows about it.
Right, but I mean, you know, if you have to look at where most of your calls are going and see how fast you can get there. So if they, you know, ideally if we could hover a fire station somewhere over exit 20, that would be nice, but we can't do that. So it might have to be, you know, out on the other side of the Hampton Inn, you know, build a substation. You know, it could be as simple as that, but is that in the 10-year plan or the 20-year plan? That has to be determined.
Wayne?
One of the biggest mistakes that was made was when Winnisquam substation, okay, was closed by Belmont, that it wasn't negotiated at that time between Sandwichton and Tilton to keep it open. Very bad mistake, and now we're paying for it. Sandwichton and Belmont have been approached to some kind of a sharing of resources to put something either in that station or something close there, and the answer keeps coming back, no, not interested. I know we approached it as part of our committee, and they said, no, we're not interested. Now, since then, a lot of things have changed. I mean, Belmont's sharing a chief with Laconia. Things have changed, so we should approach it again.
Anything else? I would like to thank those present for coming tonight. One moment, then I'll let you thank. And what I did want to say is, we hope that everyone will get out and vote on March 13th. And we hope that this time any anticipated snowstorms this year will not materialize. My wife was telling me today that another nor'easter is on the horizon. I want to thank again Aroma Joe for providing the refreshments, the coffee. I think it would be a mistake because the staff here at Town Hall does not need all the donuts that are left over. So we hope that you folks here will take something with you so that we can leave our staff at Town Hall here with not a whole table full of food. Now, anybody else has any comments before we close it down? Mr. Manning, you want to make another statement?
I just wanted to say God bless you for getting on here. Communication, like you can see right here, that's been our toughest gig the whole time. Last year, for the district meeting, we put up the warrant for the design and permitting fees so that we could come back this year and actually put forth the fire station, with the exact cost of it. But it turned into kind of a nightmare, as you all know. And a lot of it is, there's a lot of anecdotal information up there. No, Massachusetts drivers they're not killing our call data. It's anecdotal. We have a lot of residents. If you look at where it was at, like these guys are going to have to look at it even more. We pinpointed actual calls on that. That's why Tilton pays 60% of the of the tax rate, I mean, or the budget, we should say. 60% is paid by Tilton. Why? That's just how it works. It's just like the school. Northfield's got a ton of kids. The way the formula works out, it's the same for the fire district. So keep that in mind. But for you guys, I mean, I think communication, I mean, even here with this little forum tonight, it's imperative that we learn to communicate better because the point's just not getting out.
Thank you very much. By the way, I'm also running for re-election this year, and I'm unopposed.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.